the Centennial team. The greatest
Last night here in Seattle, the floor of Husky Stadium was awash in talent as many of Washington's football greats came back to help celebrate the university's 100th birthday. And who better to preside over this year of revelry than the Pac-10's winningest coach ever, Washington's Don James. Today, the purple and gold can take a giant stride toward a Rose Bowl berth if this man, Greg Lewis, can make it 3 100-yard games in a row. Southern Cal's Larry Smith hit Los Angeles 4 years ago at a dead run, and he hasn't slowed down since. Intensity is his byword, and he's found a disciple in quarterback Todd Marinovich. His discipline, focus, and accuracy have made the Trojans believe a 4th consecutive trip to Pasadena may just be a win away. Today, from beautiful Seattle, the Trojans of SC and the Washington Huskies, our Pac-10 Game of the Week. From Husky Stadium in the Emerald City of Seattle, Washington, Prime Network presents the Pac-10 Game of the Week. Today, the Washington Huskies host the Trojans of Southern California. Weather-wise, this could be Tahiti, Rio de Janeiro, or Palma de Mallorca, but in fact, we're in the Emerald City of Seattle, Washington. Boy, what an afternoon for college football. Hi everybody, I'm Phil Stone. So oftentimes the term critical game is mere hyperbole, a way to sell tickets, a way to keep you tuned to a mediocre ball game. That is certainly not the case today. This should be an outstanding matchup. Working with me on the telecast is former Washington Husky quarterback great Don Hondrick. And Don, this is only the 3rd or 4th week of the college football season, but I don't think it's too strong a statement to say this is a critical game for both teams.
Well, not only is it critical, Phil, it is a huge ball game for one so early in the year.
You know, when you look at Southern California's game notes going into this game against the Huskies, the name Todd Marinovich comes to the forefront. No question, the Trojans have ridden his arm to their first 2 victories here in 1990, and the defense, Don, has been just as outstanding.
Yes, it has, and while they say they have just 2 starters returning, 5 are seniors. They are not without experience. They have played well, and as you can see, they've given up just 30 points, 6 takeaways, and a turnover could well decide this ball game this afternoon.
When you look at the Washington Husky notes, the name Greg Lewis comes to the forefront. He leads the Pac-10 in rushing. He is number 7 in the nation, but for all the Huskies have accomplished offensively, like the Trojans, they too defensively are outstanding.
Yes, they are. As you can see, they've given up absolutely no yardage against Purdue at this point, 10 sacks in the last 2 ball games, so they can get it on.
You know, when you talk about tenacious defenses, year in and year out, the Trojans are right there. This was supposed to be a rebuilding year. Nobody told Trojan linebacker Scott Ross.
Well, you know, they say he's slow, they say he's not quick. All he does is get the job done. Reminds me a lot of Chris Spielman a couple of years ago for Ohio State, now in the pros, out here doing a ball game. He had 26 tackles in that one, and that's the kind of player Scott Ross is.
You know, the coaches say, Don, he has those intangibles that you look for in a linebacker. Guys that really just go out there and get the job done. For Washington, Don James also has a linebacker that he, too, is particularly fond of.
Yes, well, Chico Fraley is a big play guy. He can make some things happen. He's replaced James Clifford. He has started in the past. Clifford led the conference in tackles a year ago, and they're going to miss Jaime Fields on the outside, but Fraley will do an excellent job, believe me.
You know, Don, away games are never easy, particularly when it's your first conference game of the year. For Southern California, this is going to be a very, very difficult place to play. Glenn Walker will be patrolling the sidelines today, and Glenn, what problems are the Trojans likely to find today down there?
Well, Phil, as you know, Husky Stadium is one of the more rowdy in all of college football across the country, and this week Don James went to the fans and said, hey, make a lot of noise, make it very tough on the USC Trojans quarterback Todd Marinovich when he calls the signals. Earlier this week, we had a chance to talk with USC coach Larry Smith about playing on the road here in Seattle.
Playing in Husky Stadium is always a difficult task, I think, particularly when they're going to have a sellout crowd, and it's such an important game in the conference. And the crowd noise really forces your team to you can't hear a thing on the field, so your audibles and that type of thing, your checks are virtually out the door.
So when the Trojan offense is on the field, expect to see a lot of hand signals from Marinovich and a lot of silent counts. It should be interesting. It'll be a lot of pressure on the Trojan offense. Let's go back upstairs.
All right, Glenn, last week here on our Pac-10 Game of the Week, what a tussle. UCLA and the Stanford Cardinal. This one should be every bit as good. A battle of the undefeated. The Huskies and the Trojans are next. The Pac-10 Game of the Week is brought to you by Sports Scoop. By Coors. Enjoy the original taste of Coors, the Rocky Mountain legend. By Chevy. It's Chevy's greatest hits of the 90s. See your Chevrolet and Geo dealer now and save. By your Toyota dealers and their quality line of cars and trucks. Toyota, I love what you do for me. And by First Interstate Bank. We go the extra mile for you. 72,500 are assembled here along the banks of Lake Union. And boy, what an afternoon as we get set. Southern Cal and Washington, the Trojans leading the series. Southern California, they have won the last 4 in a row, including their last meeting here back in 1987. Only a handful of existing Trojans have been here at Husky Stadium. Back deep for the Huskies. It is Tommy Smith and Walter Bailey. And to boot it away for the Trojans of Southern California. We are set. This Pac-10 kickoff is brought to you by Coors. Enjoy the original taste of Coors, the Rocky Mountain High. And we are underway. Taken 4 yards deep and down on a knee is Tommy Smith. So Grant Runnerstrom gets his job done. And the Huskies will begin at their own 20. And there is the man for Don James, sophomore Mark Brunell, 6'2", 205 pounds from Santa Maria, California, about 45 miles north of Santa Barbara. The backs and receivers led by Greg Lewis, number 1 in the Pac-10 in rushing. And the offensive line, of course, led by the strong side quick guard Dean Kirkland. He is 2-time all Pac-10. From the 20-yard line. The Huskies. It is 1st and 10. They utilize the one-back offense, and Brunell wants to put it up early. Comes to the near side. It is Lewis. Gets a block across the 30-yard line and down at the 43.
Well, a nice starting play. You look at Lewis out of the backfield. It's a screen right here. You see 20 Lewis step outside. You'll see the guard come out in front of him. 51 doesn't quite get there. But the important thing here is a confidence builder as far as Brunell is concerned, and some yardage against that defense of the Trojans.
First down now from the 33. Again, Lewis the lone setback. He has got the ball heading to the right side, and he is wrapped up there by Brian Tuliao. Defensively for Southern California, as we told you, they did not rebuild, they reloaded. The nose guard is Gene Frugier. The linebacker, you saw him a moment ago, Scott Ross. He is exceptional in that quick attack defense. And Stephon Pace is the free safety. He has both of Southern California's interceptions so far here in 1990. It is 2nd down and 13. Make it 3rd down. Now the scoreboard is wrong. Brunell with time. Now unloads. It is over the hands of a receiver out of bounds at the 41-yard line. That is Mario Bailey. And that'll bring up a 3rd down situation for Washington. There is Don James. Boy, take a look. He's the winningest coach in Pac-10 history. His 16th season here at Washington after coming to the Great Northwest from Kent State.
And that's just here at Washington, as you say. His total record, 150 victories if he wins this afternoon.
3rd down and 8 now. The ball spotted at the 35-yard line. 3 wideouts for Washington. Brunell with time steps up, comes to the near side. Ball is tipped at the line of scrimmage, intended for Curtis Gaspard, the 5'11 senior from New Orleans, and it never had a chance. And that'll create the first punting situation of the afternoon. And to kick it away for Washington, it'll be Channing Wiles, senior from Lacey, Washington. Boy, take a look at Wiles' punting average this year.
Well, he has kicked the ball, and Don James has had trouble finding a kicker in the recent years, particularly a punter, and this could be a factor in the course of this ball game today.
It is Scott Lockwood standing at his own 22-yard line. Good snap, not much of a rush. End over end, not a good kick. Bounces at the 38. It'll be picked up there by Larry Wallace. He'll get it back to about the 30-yard line, and he is smothered there. On the tackle, Mark Jones, and the Trojans of Southern California will get their first look at the football, and they are led, of course, by Todd Marinovich, last year's College Player of the Year. And how can you improve upon that season? He's doing it here after 2 games in 1990. His favorite receiver is Gary Wellman. He is averaging almost 9.5 catches per game. Mark Tucker is the big man on that huge Trojan front line. This is where the crowd becomes a factor. Marinovich trying to call plays, and his offensive line will have a tough time hearing him. The left-hander looks left, now looks back to his right side. Got Wellman deep. Todd doesn't see him, and it is almost picked off. Fraley almost picked that ball off, but Gary Wellman was running all alone at the Husky 35-yard line.
Well, the important thing here, as you see, Marinovich, a 5-step drop, but the coverage there, that's tough to do. Cock and reload 2 times. Now he starts moving to his right. The Huskies recovering. He dumps it back in the middle, a very dangerous spot to throw the football. And I said at the start of the game, Chico Fraley makes big plays. Almost that one.
On 2nd and 10, Irvin is the setback. Tight end in motion to the near side, and Ricky sees the football for the first time, and he is knocked down. On the tackle, but it will be Travis Richardson. He will be calling his name all day. He leads the Huskies in sacks with 3. Chico Fraley, he made the stop a moment ago. He will be a tough customer, as will Eric Briscoe. He is the rover back, and when Marinovich gets warmed up, he will be spending a lot of time roving.
Well, they got to get pressure on him right here. They got to, if not get to him, at least bother him.
3rd and 11, trip wide
first time
receivers.
This year.
Southern California now with a shotgun. It is Wellman in motion. And Donald Jones, the strong side linebacker, saw something. And boy, did he unload.
Pat Harlow was moving, the offensive right tackle. That crowd did bother him, as we talked about it, Phil. He just moved a little. They're having trouble. You see him come up forward there, get his hands up the pass block. But that crowd knows it. The best thing that can happen here is for Marinovich to get off the play, because when the crowd smells a little blood like that, you think they're going to let up that last noise? Wait till this one comes up out of the huddle.
Larry Wallace, the flanker behind Gary Wellman, is checked out of the ball game. Joel Scott has come in. There is Larry Smith. Since coming to Southern California, that man right there has lost 1 conference game. 21, 1-1. 3rd down and 16. Wellman in motion. He is Marinovich's favorite receiver. It's an inside handoff. It is to Raul Spears, and he'll get it out to about the 28-yard line and nothing more. So Southern California, like Washington on their first possession, it will end with a punt. And boy, just listen to this crowd.
Well, we talked about the sideline could be a 12th man. We talk about a crowd being the 12th man. Early in this ball game, I think you've seen the tone set. Despite the fact there have been no scores, they've bothered that Trojan offense.
Ron Dale to punt it away, and there is Bino Bryant. He already has returned 1 for a touchdown this year against San Jose State from the 26. Turns the corner out across the 30, and whoa, what a great open field tackle at the 32-yard line. What a stop. So Southern California gives the ball up. Washington will have it at their own 34. There is Sun Dodger, the mascot of the Washington Huskies. Well, you look back at Husky football over the years, 10 undefeated seasons, 10 trips to the Rose Bowl. Oh, I'll tell you, longest unbeaten string, some 60-plus games. There's Lewis. He tries to go student body right and has it stacked up there. Craig Hartsaker on the stop with help from Marcus Hopkins. Hartzyker, an interesting story. Didn't see much action last year because in 1988 he went down with an injury in the latter part of the '88 season. A fellow by the name of Junior Seau came on. Hartzyker could not get back into the lineup at all. But with Seau leaving early to go to the NFL and the San Diego Chargers, Craig has found a spot here in his senior year. Boy, what a contribution. He will make all of 1990. Washington with the double tight ends, 2 wideouts to the near side. Brunell rolling left, looking downfield, steps up, throws. It's caught at the 45-yard line by Mario Bailey. He is the lightest man on the playing field. 5'9", 157.
Well, you get Mark Brunell on the sprint out. Bailey coming out of the ball game, but Bailey in the slot kind of slides downfield. See him step just inside Marcus Hopkins, the safety, wide open against the zone. Nobody there. That's Stephon Page, number 9, trying to get to him. But then, of course, USC recovering. Nice first down.
At the 49-yard line of Southern California. Now out of the I. That's the fullback. Turner to the line of scrimmage where he is rolled under there. Not much room.
Turner, the ball carrier.
Led by Brian Tulio.
Stop by Brian Tulio.
Yeah, Larry Smith, 29, 8-1 overall since coming to Southern California from Arizona. Boy, in the Pac-10, how about 21, 1-1?
He's 19-0-1 in the last 2 years, a little over 2 years. Last lost was to Oregon in 1987.
Turner, the up back. Greg Lewis is the tailback to the extreme right of your screen. Brunell looking right. Wants to go downfield. Got a receiver. It is caught at the 37-yard line by Orlando McKay. Boy, Brunell coming into this ballgame, unimpressive passing statistic. 18 of 51, only 35% on the money with this one.
You'll watch him backpedal and watch the zip on this football. It's hard to tell, but that ball has got velocity. And the fact of the matter is, Orlando McKay, as he turns inside, the defenders cannot get there quick enough. That's what happens when you can hum that football.
Last week, he caught the game winner against Purdue at West Lafayette, Indiana. Looking downfield, Brunell trying to take it up the middle. It is Terry McDaniels, number 78, all over him. Don Gibson also pinching him from the other defensive tackle spot.
I'll tell you what's extremely important here. A couple of things, actually. Number one is that Washington can have sustained drives. Whether they come away with points or not, obviously they would like to get them. But they keep Marinovich and the USC team off the field. In the early going right here, Mark Brunell, a confidence builder, as he's throwing that ball with a lot of authority, and people are getting over it.
Yeah.
Protection pretty good too, Phil.
Good point. Don James telling us yesterday that he kind of wanted to throw some underneath stuff to get Brunell some completions, get that confidence up early in such an important game. Brunell double pumps, now comes to the near side on the screen, set up nicely. Turning the corner is Lewis, and he goes out of bounds at the 24-yard line. Boy, Lewis simply ran over Stephon Pace.
Yeah, Pace looked like he hurt his hand a little bit, and that tells you about Lewis for speed. Again, that screen, the one that they opened the ball game with. You see 78 trying to get into the picture there. That's Terry McDaniels. He doesn't. Now watch that little adjustment there. Drop the shoulder, get the hand down for balance, and pick up an extra 6 yards.
Ball spotted officially at the 21. First down, Huskies. Lewis across the 21 down to the 20, dives ahead, went right through Scott Ross. That is the first ball carrier I have seen break a Scott Ross tackle. Stephon Pace ultimately on the stop.
Well, you'll see him veer back behind it, and you notice that little extra effort to try and get some little forward momentum, and now the extra effort to pull through and pick up 2 more yards. So you can say one thing, the adrenaline is riding high here at home with the Huskies in the early going.
At those statistics after games against San Jose State and Purdue, Lewis averaging 129 yards a game. Brunell rolling near side, grabbed by the ankle and spun down at the 17. Craig Hartzyker with help from Kurt Barber on the other outside linebacker spot.
Well, Brunell, no stranger running that football. He's got about 4 or 5 foot speed. You don't find too many quarterbacks that can run faster than that. I asked Gary Pinkel, the offensive coordinator, what is he, about 4.6? He said, no, 4.5. And he also has a very bad toe that he's been stepped on, lost the big toenail, so he's got a bad foot. But he's going to run, I'll tell you that, before it's over with.
On 3rd and 5. Brunell looking right. Going for it. It is caught at the 1-yard line and out of bounds. It is Mario Bailey.
Well, he follows them all the way. It's a 4-man rush, but look at the protection and the time. He gets the great passing lane. Bailey ran like a post corner move to break to the sidelines. Good timing. The ball throw right there to watch him break off of him. Not bad coverage. You can't get a whole lot better than that. But unfortunately, Mike Salmon gets beat, and the Huskies are knocking on the door inside the 1-yard line.
Is a young man who has trouble keeping his weight at 157 pounds. And the Huskies from the 1. It is Lewis. He got it. And a flag is down. Hold everything.
Well, I don't know who the penalty, and it looks like it's against the Trojans, so you'll hear that crowd roar here as they get the official signal.
Offside. Defense. Penalized on the kickoff.
So the Huskies will draw first blood, Phil, and you'll see it come off from ground level, the left side, man in motion leading it. That puts 2 people in front of it. They just grind it right on through as Turner, the lead blocker there, and the Huskies go into the end zone on top 6-0. You know, they said the defense came of age a week ago against Penn State, that is USC. They held them to a goal line stand inside the 3 times from inside the 1. And the Huskies here, first opportunity, they blew it in there.
Mike Dodd for the point after from the hold of Mark Brunell. It is perfect. So the sophomore from Mill Creek, Washington, has taken the Huskies to a 7-0 lead. You're watching the Pac-10 Game of the Week. Second possession of the afternoon, the Huskies take it in. Lewis from a yard away. It capped a 67-yard drive, and they ate up some valuable time on that clock. 4:24 to be exact.
You know, when you look at this USC football team, it is a major lift for the Huskies to go on top early in the ball game. On the other hand, despite the fact that the Trojans are a relatively young team, they have been in a lot of big games, and they aren't going to lose their poise. Look at that score there. Stanford taking it to the Beavers, and of course, in that one, look at there. Is that an upset or what? Michigan State, George Perlis, big one.
Ty Detmer picking up where he left off last week.
55.
Nebraska, boy, all over the Golden Gophers. Take a look there. And Virginia off to a 4-0 start, nailing Duke. Oklahoma, 11th ranked. They will unquestionably move up. Mississippi over Arkansas. The Razorbacks lose for the first time of the year. From a couple of yards deep, it is Conway. He'll go down on a knee. Travis Hansen, a freshman.
Well, once again, Phil, you know, as the Huskies go against this second offense now, opportunity by USC. Whoa, look at Illinois. That's a big one. But what's important is that they bother Marinovich. And talking to Ray Dorr, the quarterback coach, as we pick up some scores there, Steve Spurrier, Florida, and Syracuse in a tie with Pittsburgh. Anyway, what he said was that Marinovich is making good decisions and he's handling the game plan well. He hasn't had much chance, but the Huskies got to stay after him.
From the 20, Marinovich. He made a complete circle and arrived back at the line of scrimmage.
That isn't something that he's had to do an awful lot. That was Dave Hoffman that made the tackle. But that's what we're talking about. You know, he does a good job of throwing the football away. They generally use a lot of sprints and rollouts to get him away from the crowd. We have not seen that yet. They started with the shotgun for the purpose of giving him a little more time to read the defense and stay away from the high number of Husky blitzes.
Double wideouts, wide to the left, coming to the near side. It is Irvins, and man, as he stood up by Donald Jones to say the least, Don, that here in 1990, the Trojan running game just isn't happening.
Well, watch Donald Jones from the right side. That's a perfect angle that he took right there, getting up underneath. Well, it was Collins. I said Brett Collins. I should have said Brett Collins, excuse me, who has replaced Jaime Field. So he starts out and gets a nice little touch there, got up underneath the blocker and stiffed him.
Now at 3rd and 13 from the 17. Gary Wellman wide to the left. He is at the top of your screen. He is Marinovich's favorite receiver. Lots of movement, and it'll go against Southern California. And again, you heard Glenn Walker talk at the top of our telecast about this crowd. There's an example of what can happen when you go from the shotgun. Your offensive line can't hear.
Yes, Michael Moody, the right tackle. Actually, they flop their tackle and guard. They call him strong guard, weak guard, quick tackle, and so forth. But he went back to pass set. Marinovich, a little different wrinkle, like he was going to go up under the center and then came back. And while he was trying to get out the call, the offensive lineman did not hear him, as you mentioned.
Wellman again splits wide to the left.
Boy, the Huskies, if they could hold him here, they could get big field position. That's going to play such an important part in this ball game. Field position and turnover.
Going deep for Joel Scott, and it is out of bounds right at the 42-yard line. And the Huskies will get the football again. While they roar here in Seattle, we'll pause to let our local affiliates identify themselves. You're watching the Pac-10 Game of the Week on Prime Network. It sail. Bino Bryant at the 45-yard line. Across the midfield stripe, and he gives Washington the football once more. In Trojan territory, they'll begin at the USC 46. David Webb on the stop. Clock stops. 5:48 to play in the first period. The Pac-10 Game of the Week is brought to you by Infiniti, who invites you to test drive the Q45 sedan or M30 Sports Coupe. And by Great Western's family of companies, $40 billion strong. 5:48 to play in the first period. Washington over Southern California 7-0. The Huskies already dodging a huge bullet in Washington's first 2 games of the year against San Jose State and Purdue. Both of those clubs scored on their opening drives. Southern California has been thwarted on their first 2 possessions. And now the Huskies with the football, 1st and 10 at the Southern California 46. From the I formation, Turner, the up back, Greg Lewis is deep to your right. He has the football. Lewis across the 44, down near the 40-yard line. Don Gibson and Gene Fruget combined to make the tackle.
Well, one thing the Huskies are starting off this series doing, where they have twice gone with a screen pass on a 1st down to change up their numbers a little bit, where they've always run. They tried to go wide a couple times. Excellent pursuit by the USC Trojan team. Now they're going directly at him, and they went right at Scott Ross for that nice little 5-yard gain.
On 2nd and 5 from the 40. Again, it is Lewis, and he is upended at the 38-yard line. First man to him, Matt Gee, the inside linebacker out of Arkansas City, Kansas. Now we talked about Southern Cal and Washington's first 2 games of the year. Look at that. The Trojans 18 wins in their last 19 Pac-10 road openers, and the Huskies 28-8 record in September over the last decade. So these are 2 teams who are used to a blitzkrieg start.
Yes, and this is a blitzkrieg play with 3rd and 2. This important play right here.
Double tight end. It is Lewis making his way to the 35, and I believe, depending on the spot, he'll have the 1st down.
You know, I say that, Phil, the average viewer and maybe the fan, while they like to see me at the 1st down, the important thing is they keep the momentum. Watch the left side of that offensive line, and right there, number 75 you're looking at is Lincoln Kennedy, 6'7", 325-pound left guard, and Jeff Pahukoa at 295 pounds, the left tackle. So they went to their size, and they picked up the needed yardage.
Don, I saw Lincoln Kennedy yesterday, and they officially listed passed him at 325. I think he's just a biscuit away from 350 myself.
Well, he's the second largest player in the conference. They got one just a little bigger down there at Arizona.
1st and 10 from the 35. Brunell. He's going deep at the goal line. It is overthrown. Intended for Mario Bailey. Boy, he cut one in the same spot just a few moments ago. Took it out of bounds at the 1-yard line. Greg Lewis ultimately scored on the next play.
Well, the adrenaline of Brunell right there put the ball in the back of the end zone. I'll tell you, Bailey was open as he was going down that sideline. USC was rolling into his own, trying to get a safety there, but Brunell, taking the safe course, said, well, I'm going to lay it out into the end zone and let him run under it. He could have put it a little more on a line, and he'd have still gone in the end zone. Would have taken a more difficult, accurate pass, and the numbers on him right now looking very impressive.
On 2nd and 10, Southern California with their nickel defense in. Looking near side. There's a little hitch pass. It goes to Orlando McKay. He tries to turn it inside, and he has got 3 Trojans covering him. Calvin Holmes led the charge. Stephon Pace is also in the neighborhood.
It doesn't look like much as you see him there, 5, 6, 7 steps, little hitch, look to the inside. But what he's done, he tries to get an extra yard or 2 and does, and of course quickly 4 Trojans come over and pounce on him. But looking at 2nd and 10, rather than really going upfield, they go a safe pass, a high percentage pass. McKay has a lot of receptions, but that keeps the confidence, the drive, and the momentum going.
Huskies moving out of their one-back offense now. It is Lewis who skirts through the right side, dives across the 25-yard line to the 24. Boy, he ran it right up behind Dean Kirkland. We talked about him at the outset of our telecast, 2-time All Pac-10, and also clearing it out was Supeli Malamala.
Yes, and what Greg Lewis does here, watch, he's going left. That's where he wants to. Now watch him veer back to the right as he sees that offensive push. Right now the Huskies moving him off the line of scrimmage, getting that little bit of daylight. He doesn't need a whole lot as he slides through there, and there's some numbers as you look at what Greg Lewis has done as an average.
We have the top 2 running backs in the Pac-10 today, and Lewis and Urban play action. Brunell, all the time in the world, wants to take it to the outside, gets a good block on Scott Ross, and he goes out of bounds at the 14. Boy, what a block by the pulling guard, the man who is just a biscuit away from 350, Lincoln Kennedy.
Well, I'll tell you what, there you see Kennedy in the left of your screen. He's looking around, saying, come on, baby, come on in. The water is warm, and guess who? Scott Ross says, yeah, he's good size. He takes him on, but Ross coming back, as you see him get tripped up on another look at it, gets caught in that AstroTurf a little bit. Kennedy goes down low and takes him off his feet. But Brunell has terrific acceleration. They're going for a measurement. Looks like a first down. Brunell can be going, as I said earlier, he has that 4-5 speed in 2 to 3 steps, much like a running back or a receiver. He's full tilt in those 2 or 3 steps, and he did a smart thing. He got down on the ground and kind of did his little hook slide over there.
1st and 10, Huskies from the Southern California 14-yard line. 2:52 to play in the first period. Huskies 7, Southern California nothing. A double tight end formation. It is Lewis who is grabbed at the 14 and spun down there.
It looked like that play was on a quick count. That was one time that the tackle made by Gibson, but the overload of the USC down line, hard to tell from the angle of the cameras you watch the football game, but they were removed to the wide side of the field towards you on the screen. The Huskies ran right into it. They were slanting that way. The Huskies normally, so far in this football game, have run back towards the weak side where there are less numbers and have them outflanked. And look at the numbers and the yardage. Who would have thunk it for a USC team, despite the fact that it's early, rushing the football only 2 yards.
2nd down and 9. The pitch is to Lewis. He turns the corner. He is at the 10 and comes down at the 9. Matt Gee, the inside linebacker from Arkansas City, Kansas, on the stop.
Well, they picked up some yardage with it, and I've always had a concern when you run the option. They're going to be looking at 3rd and a long 4 or short 5. I like to see the option to the wide side of the field, particularly when you got a runner like Lewis that gives him the opportunity to pick the spot he wants to go. You run into the sidelines, and you got the sideline there to help kick you out of bounds. But they feel they can dictate the defense and the distinction of the blocking.
3rd and 4. Brunell got a receiver wide open. It is Darius.
That was a walk-in touchdown. No one covered Turner. 2 tight ends. There's the play fake, the counter to Lewis, rolls out clean. The force on him there by number 2, and that's Marcus Hopkins, who would have been covering Turner just a tad out of his reach. Now, whether the rush bothered Burnell, or in some cases you get a guy so open you think to yourself, wait a minute, I'll just try and aim it in there. You can't do it. You got to just throw that football.
On 4th and 4, here is Mike Dodd from 26 yards away. He's 4 for 5 on the year. He lets it go, and he shanked it. Did not get a good set from Mark Brunell. I'm not certain whether it was the snap or the hold.
A little high, but we got a flag down, so we're going to see who this is against.
Oh, it's against Southern California, and that will give the Huskies a first down.
Oh, you talk about living right. Not only do you miss that field goal, but you're going to get that ball in there tight with 4 more chances. So the Huskies, at this point, they got to be awfully happy. You talk about dodging bullets earlier in the football game. Well, the Huskies dodged one here.
Now, that could be a very key play in this ball game, one that we all will want to remember. It would have given the Trojans the football at the 20-yard line. Instead, the Huskies retain possession now at the SC 9, and it is 1st and goal. And that man right there who thrives
Outside
on perfection.
defense. Still 4th down.
And now as they mark it off, they're putting the ball at about the 4-yard line, slightly outside the 4. So the Huskies 4 more chances.
Well, remember, Penn State had it.
They did not get the first down. It was not enough. It's 4th and inches. They're going to go for the field goal again.
Oh, my.
Apparently, unless it's a fake.
4th and about a foot. So Dodd will have a second chance. This time, end over end. He is perfect. And that will stop the clock with 1:15 to play in the first period.
That was an interesting situation. You know, you get an old story about take the points. Well, they did. I think I might have been tempted to try and knock it in there.
Well, a very, very big night last night here at Husky Stadium as the Centennial highlighted the all-time University of Washington football team. And who was voted the best quarterback in Husky history? The man to my right, none other than Don Heinrich. First-team All-American back in 50 and 52. Look at the blinding speed here exhibited by number 22. Heinrich pumps once to his left, comes back, looks off his primary receiver. Who'd you hit here?
I'm not sure, but all I know is that I should have let him out a little bit more. That was George Black, incidentally. I made him slow down. I don't like that.
Well, Don, from everyone connected here with our Prime Network Pac-10 Game of the Week, our hearty congratulations.
Well, thank you, Phil. I got to tell you, it was a mighty nostalgic evening, a lot of fun. And incidentally, I might add that Don James invited us down to visit for a little bit with the Husky team and talk a little bit about some of the old days.
You mean right now?
A lot of fun. No, I mean last night. I don't know what kind of effect it had. Hugh McElhaney, the great runner here and a great NFL player, he had a few things to say. It got a few tears.
Here's Travis Hansen, the outstanding high school freshman, to kick it away. It is taken at the 2-yard line by Curtis Conway. He has 1 return this year, and that's it. And he's making the most out of kickoff return number 2. A flag is down on the near side of the field at the 23-yard line as Conway took it out to about the 28. And where that flag was thrown, it is almost automatic holding or an illegal block against the returning team, and it is.
Well, 1 minute and 8 seconds left to go here in the first quarters. The Huskies on top 10-0 as they've dominated, moving the football on the ground, in the air, and done an excellent job defensively on Todd Marinovich.
Holding by the receiving team during the run back. 10-yard penalty will be first down.
Now, USC has said they want to run the football more, despite the fact they've gone to depending on Todd Marinovich in the first 2 football games, doing what they do best. But lest we forget, they got an awfully good running back in Ricky Irvins, and we may see something out of him as they are essentially backed up.
Southern Cal's 3rd possession. Their drives have begun at their own 30, their own 20, and now at their own 13. And it is Tyrone Rogers, the middle guard, who stuffed Ricky Irvins. Funny story about Tyrone Rogers. He's a junior out of Wilmington, California. His sister, his older sister, wanted to be here for spring drill. She couldn't be here, and she said, Tyrone, I know you miss me. I know you miss the family. If you need anything, just call. Here's my calling card number. Just call. He called all of his friends, ran up 2 bills for well over $200, and her sister said, forget that access number I gave you.
I've changed it.
I've changed it. The Trojans now with 32 seconds. Clock is turning here in the first period. They trailed 10-0. Marinovich looking left. Got a receiver. It is Joel Scott as he tries to turn and can't do it. Dave Hoffman and Chico Fraley, the 2 inside linebackers, converge on the tackle.
Best protection Marinovich has had so far in this football game. Scott lost his starting job to Larry Wallace, and I'm sure it makes him happy to catch that football as he comes out of the ball game. Had a bad ankle at the start of the season, got it this summer playing basketball. That didn't make Larry Smith very happy, and they dropped a pass against Syracuse, so he's trying to atone.
End of the first period. Huskies 10, USC nothing. The Great Western's family of companies, $40 billion strong. Well, I'll tell you, Greg Lewis, we talked about him at the top, and he has gotten the Huskies untracked.
Well, the Trojans were going to have to try and stop him. They have not been able to do it up to this point. Huskies knocking him off the line of scrimmage, and look at the yardage, 120 for the Dogs.
All right, now let's go down to Glenn Walker, who's standing by on the sidelines. Glenn.
Well, I'll tell you what, Phil, as we have seen, the crowd has played a big part in this game. Listening in on the USC offensive lineman on the bench, they say they can hear Todd Marinovich calling the signals. However, one guy's going, well, I think he's saying blue, and another guy says, I think he's saying red. So they are having problems, and they need to get their composure. They're going to be out of this ball game in a hurry. Back upstairs.
Trojans with double wide receivers to the far side. Pass intended for Wellman, and it is intercepted by Washington. Eric Briscoe, the rover back.
Got a little fight in the back here, too. Looks like well, you know, it's interesting. Marinovich normally going to his left to throw the football, being a left-hander, and as you see, we have 2 left-handers here today, which is something rather unusual. This time he goes to the right. He pops one up in the air. Briscoe had 6 points. If he stays on his feet, you'll see him zero in. He's got it all the way. That looked like one of the ducks flying off of Lake Washington here. And you think that he isn't happy for the interception. He's really happy, but look at that. He said, oh, he goes high in the air. If I could just stay up. He has a walk-in touchdown. Great field position for the Huskies.
Wide to the right, McKay. To the left goes Mario Bailey. From the 26-yard line, the Huskies are on the move. That is Lewis, who skips his way down near the 24, and a flag comes in from behind Southern California's secondary. Kurt Barber on the tackle, and there is the man of the moment, the rover man out of Fort Lee, New Jersey, Eric Briscoe.
Well, the Huskies are going to get caught for a holding call here, which is certainly going to hurt their cause. The defensive secondary of USC, as the officials are giving them the options on it, was showing a double coverage on the outside, thinking that the Huskies would come back, try and go to the end zone after a big turnover like that. They did not. They went back to their bread and butter in the inside over Dean Kirkland, but somebody got caught with their arm out. And we're going to get a call here, so that moves them out of there. They're going to have to get some yards back if they want to at least get
offense. Still first down.
If they want to at least get back into field position, the ball now moved to the 34-yard line. You know, it's equally important, Phil, that a quarterback, if he sees a particular defense that does not look good, to get out of a bad play and get to a little better percentage play. I don't think in that instance Brunell kind of caught himself flat-footed. He had a quick count, couldn't make a change at the line of scrimmage.
2 wideouts to the near side, Bailey and McKay. That is Lewis, and he tries to pound it up in behind Malamala, and Dean Kirkland doesn't get much, maybe a yard. The Huskies
write home about. Just pound into the line. And over the years, that's made a lot of these Husky fans unhappy, that conservative approach. 2 years ago, they went to a more open attack. But right there, you say they're looking at long yardage. They got to get something that can get some yards back in a hurry.
Brunell looking down the center of the field. Now comes to the near side. It is cut by McKay. At the 19-yard line, Stephon Pace covers him instantly. Boy, McKay, he caught the game winner last week on a 35-yard strike from Brunell against Purdue.
And what's good about Brunell, look at the time he has. And notice that lane there, that gives him a good passing lane. McKay on a nice hook. Just see this passing lane right here. That's a good vision for a quarterback to be able to throw the football. You can't see Pace, who has been backed off by the move of McKay as he drove hard and hooked it up in front of him. That's big yards right there, getting back into close field position.
Here's the one-back offense that Washington began to employ last year. Play action. Brunell steps up, tries to unload it. I believe his arm was coming forward, and the officials will agree.
They were all covered.
Barber all over Brunell.
Yeah, he did not read that one particularly well. He had an opportunity, quite frankly, and I know that he's trying to have more patience of staying in the pocket, but they had 3 receivers out. All 3 were covered. He could have stepped inside of the pass rush and had a big lane to run that football. He'd have picked up some yards, and I'm sure he'd have gotten a first down. But he was intent. They're at least going to come away with some points, provided they can knock the field goal in.
This is Dodd. He is 5 of 6 on the year, 1 for 1 today from 26 yards away. This will come from 34 yards out. He is long enough, and I believe he pushed it up to the right side. Now the Huskies unable to capitalize on the interception by Briscoe. A flag flies. The clock stops with 13:01 to play in the second period. You're watching the Pac-10 Game of the Week. Here in the great Northwest, as you look out over Lake Washington, we are at Husky Stadium, where better than 72,000 have jammed their way in to see this conference opener for both the Huskies and the Trojans of Southern California. While we were away, Southern California on the field goal attempt, when the clock had stopped, committed a personal foul, so they will have possession of the football, but instead of their own 20, it will be moved back to their own 10, and now it is 1st and 20 for Southern California. 10-0 Washington. Irvins. Chico Fraley.
One thing with Chico Fraley up on the line of scrimmage, see him step by the block there, right off the reel of Pat Harlow. He took it inside, got the penetration, and said, "That's as far as you're going back here, young man." Ricky Irvins goes down. They call him the pinball wizard because he bounces around with that football like a pinball, and it's hard to get off his feet, but not for Chico in that time.
Now it is 2nd and 24. And again it is Irvins, and again not much as Irvins tries to run it up behind Harlow and Mark Tucker. Travis Richardson, we talked about him at the outset of our telecast. He is a load. He is the defensive end on the left side. 6'3", 260-pounder out of Timberline High School right here in Olympia, Washington.
You know, Ricky Irvins, short of stature at 5'8", 190, a very tough runner, a very hard runner. Carries the ball a lot. Last year, 27 carries for 87 yards. Last week, 80 yards and 26 carries. Surprised they haven't used it more here, Phil.
Marinovich going to the sideline. It is caught at the 30-yard line, and out of bounds goes Gary Wellman.
Wellman, tremendous speed. At 5'9", 175, 4.35, 40-yard dash sprinter. Dana Hall, the safety man, you'll see him coming across there, number 5. He's got the deep zone, but as Wellman had passed him and the ball zipped up there, Hall didn't get there. He got burned twice against Purdue last week.
1st and 10, Southern California. Irvins tries the right side, hit behind the line, moves it up to near the 40-yard line. where he is rolled under by Richardson and Chico Fraley.
Well, you don't expect to keep a team of this ability. You know, the USC Trojans, they never want for talent. It's a matter of experience. And you give them a break, as Irvin's numbers there, 5 carries for -4 yards. Now they have a life, though, on the basis of Marinovich, the pass to Wellman. And that's something the Huskies don't want to do. They had him in 3rd and long. They let him off the hook.
The Trojans from the patented eye. Play action. Marinovich is going to take it himself around the right side. It looked like a planned play.
Option.
But he made the decision to keep it very early. Like around lunch.
Nice haircut on Kirkland, that offensive right guard. They don't care how he cuts his hair. Can he block?
Oh, can he block?
That's the key. You bet he can. I don't know. That wasn't exactly what you would call reminiscent of maybe some of the Oklahoma options that you've seen be so successful over the years. I think Marinovich does a little better job throwing the football. It's kind of an ugly exchange look, and there's the rushing yardage. The Huskies dominating at this point.
There's the split back offensive set for Southern California. Marinovich, look at the time he has. Over the center, it is cut by the tight end Frank Griffin. Frank Griffin from Rancho Cordova, California. He has 5 catches on the year.
That was a big play there, too. You cannot give Marinovich that kind of time, and you're right. He does have 5 grabs, and Marinovich looks for him down the middle. The Huskies didn't blitz that time. He found a soft spot in that zone. Griffin just 14 catches a year ago, so there's his 6th catch. He's almost halfway there in the first 3 games of the season in his production from last season.
1st and 10 Trojans, their first sustained drive of the afternoon. Marinovich tries to come to the near side, and he is slumped under by John Cook and Chico Fraley.
That is what you have to do to stop Marinovich. Take him off of his rhythm. He likes to throw left. He's running to his left as he centers the screen. Fraley was upfield there to cut him off, but Marinovich sees Empman coming across at that point, and he said, I better pull this one down. And so what they did is they took away his passing lane. They made him pull up short, and then they got the inside pursuit by Empman to dump him. And you saw that second effort by Fraley, incidentally, off the ground.
The give is right up the gut to Raul Spears, I believe. Make it Scott Lockwood. Lockwood really alternates between the backup tailback spot and the backup to Raul Spears at fullback. Plus he returns punts. So Lockwood, I suppose, the epitome of what you call the all-purpose running back.
He can do a lot of things. The Trojans now 47 total yards. The Huskies with 138. The Huskies leading 10-0 here. 8:28 to go in the 2nd quarter.
3rd and 15. The ball shy of the midfield stripe. Look at Marinovich. He is trying to get word to his team what he wants to do. Looks left, now looks right. It is almost intercepted. Boy, Chico Fraley, he has been everywhere today.
I'll tell you something, Phil. You know, I told you before the game, and it's interesting, he really, in essence, was not the starter or ticketed to be the starter. He did start as a freshman. Tends to make mistakes, but he's got such athletic ability. As I said in the beginning, he makes big plays. We've seen him make several here. Almost a couple near interceptions. He creates fumbles. He got in for a partial sack. He dropped Irvin's for a loss. So he's making it pay right now.
Wandale, plenty of time, and boy, does he get his foot into that one. Bryant looks for the fair catch at the 9. Dekes Southern California's punt team as it rolls into the end zone. So that'll stop the clock with 8:03 to play in the first half, and the Huskies leading the Trojans. The Pac-10 Game of the Week is brought to you by your Toyota dealers and their quality line of cars and trucks. Toyota, I love what you do for me. 8:03 to play in the first half. That man right there has had some big problems moving this Trojan offense, and Larry Smith has to be concerned. He knew coming in that his offense would be sorely tested, not only by the #1 ranked defense in the nation against the rush, but primarily by this deafening crowd, and both have proved severe obstacles. While for Don James, well, I'll tell you what, going into the locker room, if this score stands up, he will be awfully pleased.
Yeah, and he's wishing he had that 3 points that they missed.
Here is Brunel, 6'2" sophomore out of Santa Maria, California. Looking left, now going left, down the sideline. It is out of bounds. Caught, but out of bounds. Orlando McKay running step for step with Calvin Holmes, the right corner. Boy, Brunel put it right on the money, as he did on the Huskies' second drive of the day when he hit Orlando McKay at the 1-yard line. Other scores around the nation today: Michigan smothering the Bruins of UCLA. Stanford with their first win of the year. It was Washington State leading California's Bears 31-28 late. And there's a surprise. Michigan State led all day long at East Lansing.
Field goal beat him.
7:57 to play in the first half. Brunel looking down the center of the field, bumps left to the near side, and it is almost intercepted. Intended for Darius Turner out of the backfield. That is the second pass thrown to Darius Turner today. I'm not sure that one was catchable, but Willie McGinnis almost picked it off.
Yeah, well, it was high. He'd have to make an adjustment. Both cases, the passes didn't have the greatest in touch. Brunel trying to adjust as we pick up that BYU score, so they are off and running, as they say. Ty Detmer, the Heisman candidate, Nebraska rolling over the Gophers. The Duke Blue Devils taking it.
Some big scores today.
Oklahoma over 50 every time out, and Arkansas upset by Mississippi.
1/3 and 10. Brunel. Downfield it goes, and that may be interference. Mario Bailey was tackled, and here comes the flag.
I think that was a good call there, frankly.
Who was it that said better late than never?
It was a little late, no question. I think the crowd had an effect. Bailey turned around, and you'll see Bailey at the end of this. Watch out of the backfield, though. Bailey coming around to the inside. Now he's going to run a sideline. You see he's into the front of the zone as Pace comes across, grabs him, takes him down. Right at the tail end. Good job of reaching for the ball with the left hand. It's the right arm and body that's not in position. Big play for the Huskies. You don't want to give Marinovich any kind of opportunity with any kind of field position. So the Huskies pick up the first down now at the 35-yard line.
Boy, look at the penalties today.
Figures to be rough physical ball game. I tell you, they won't play a tougher, more physical contest all year, either of these teams.
Near side, here comes Greg Lewis. Jumps over a would-be tackler. He is on his feet at the 47.
Was that a nifty bit of running and balance? I'm going to tell you, folks, watch the pursuit. All the white jerseys with red headgears. Not much there for him, but now, as Mike Salmon comes in, he puts the cutback move on. He's trying to go back against the grain. Hopkins, #2, over there trying to help out. And of course, what happens is that the balance takes it back. And you wonder, earlier in the year, he's had 2 100-yard games, but he's been working with a little pulled hamstring. What's he going to do when he gets well?
Again from the eye. First man through it is Turner. And I'll tell you, he takes on Willie McGinnis head to head and moves McGinnis out to the 36-yard line. 238 against McGinnis' 220. When you've got an 18-pound advantage and you're moving forward, that makes it awful tough on a linebacker, Don.
Yeah, and he had good forward lean. There again, the Huskies' backside of their offensive line, the right side in this case, a play designed to go left as he curled it back, ending up going virtually over Dean Kirkland, the right guard, and then it was a matter of how much he could pick up.
Second down and 1. There is Lewis. He pounds his way to the 33, and if he got there, he has got a Husky first down.
He does.
He got it. Well, the one thing you can't overemphasize The two guys who handle the ball the most for the Huskies, Ed Cunningham, the center, and Mark Brunell, the quarterback, are perhaps the least experienced on this offensive team, and they have been flawless. You look at the running back comparison, number 1 and 2 in the Pac-10, and it has been all Greg Lewis.
And he's averaged a little better than 5 yards a carry, so he's actually under his 2-game average.
First down, Huskies at the 34 with 6:08 to play in the first half. Looking downfield, it is almost caught by McKay. Great coverage by Calvin Holmes.
And I might add that that average is against a little tougher competition here today. Mark Brunell not happy with himself. He had his hands on his knees. He laid it up soft. He tried to lay it in there too nice. Instead of humming it out there, let the receiver run under it. He had a step or two, as you can see right there. You're never going to get in trouble with the ball being long, folks. You come up short, and you're going to be in trouble a lot with interceptions.
Now the Huskies knew if they were going to somehow find a weak spot in that Trojan secondary, they would have to try and throw behind the defensive backs. Brunell looking left. Bailey, no.
Brunell, just as he wanted to unload the football, just got hammered. They had the full blitz coming. I think Brunell knew it. He's a tough kid. Figured he would stand in there, take the blow, and then Ryan Tuulu, the guy that pounded him, just enough to throw him off his rhythm.
That brings to mind what Y.A. Tittle once said. He said, you know, Warren Spahn throws fastballs and guys hit them. He says, I throw a football and guys weighing 250 hit me. Something's not right.
Well, I tell you, had Brunell thrown that ball in there, he had 6 points.
Third down and 10 now from the 33. Play action. Brunell coming near side. Pass intended for Bailey. Has he got it? Yes, he has got it. And out of bounds at the 16. And boy, a step on pace hot. He and Howard McCowan, the backup free safety, thought for sure Bailey was out of bounds.
I think he had his foot in and was leaning out. But a lot of velocity. There's the little draw fake to Lewis. Now watch that ball. It's really hard to determine. The trajectory is misleading, but watch his feet and knees there. I say he's in. He is in. If you're behind the play, you would say he is not, as they were when they looked at it. But down the line where the official, good job on his part.
A big first down for Washington as they try and add more here in the closing minutes of the first half. They lead 10-0. 14, and he is smothered by Matt Willig, the backup defensive tackle on the right side. Well, Willig a year ago backed up All-American Tim Ryan, junior out of La Mirada, California. A gain of 1. Now, Don, you look at the score, the time. If you're standing on the far sideline with the clipboard, what would your call be here on 2nd and 9 at the 14?
Well, I'd go for some type of a control pass, quite frankly. I wouldn't try to go to the end zone necessarily. The defensive alignment would be a consideration. They're going to come out in the eye, so it's going to be either play action or run at this stage. But I'd go upstairs with the football.
Near side. That's Lewis. Boy, as he stood up by Scott Ross.
One thing Lewis does do is run a little bit straight up and down, and that's if there were a weakness. It gives him an opportunity to see the field better because he's primarily a cutback type of a runner. But the tendency when you're up like that is you're going to get hit a lot more.
Now, Don, we have not seen Washington much in their one-back offense. They have preferred to go from the eye today, and that's something that Larry Smith told me yesterday that they expected the Huskies to do. He said, we look for Washington to come at us from the eye.
Well, they were going to a trip set here to throw the football, looking to try and get a man-for-man coverage, but it's pass protection that's going to be important. Now everybody out.
Quarterback draw. Brunell at the 5. Dives to the 2.
Folks.
What a call.
They had the quarterback draw in. They've had it in before, but you see him break left there. There's an example of his speed. That is Scott Ross, the first man to miss the tackle. Watch Ross here. He says, I'm getting out hoofed on this one. And you mentioned at the beginning of the show that he isn't fast, he gets to the play. Well, that guy is fast, and he stayed on his feet. He had 6 points. He was so anxious to get in there, he ran it right to his knees, but he did get the first down. And in one sense, it might be better if they can grind it out slowly because they'll eat up some time on the clock.
First and goal, Washington. Turner the up back, Lewis is the tailback. Brunell dives to the 1. Covered there by Calvin Holmes.
Well, something we have not seen, of course, that many opportunities have not shown themselves, but the Huskies, over a period of time, have had great success going with a full house backfield. And one thing here, they have the added threat of Brunell's running. And of course, Lewis to pitch the ball to. In that instance, they had the option play going, but Brunell wasn't taking any chances of pitching out there. He's taking what he can get.
Second down and goal. Turner, he has got it. Touchdown, Washington.
Officials a little slow calling it. I'm not quite sure why, but that's a good defensive line that stopped Penn State 3 times inside the 1. The Huskies got in there for 6.
Dodd from the hold of Brunell, and he is perfect. Bullseye. 2:54 to play in the first half. Oh my, it has been all Huskies. You're watching the Pac-10 Game of the Week. More to play in the first half. Packed Husky Stadium. And they're watching Washington out in front of the Trojans, 17-0. The last touchdown, a 1-yard dive by Darius Turner. And booted away, it is Travis Hansen on the 13-yard line. Travis Hammond out across the 24 and bounced down at the 25. Mark Jones on the tackle. I want to invite you to stay with us at halftime as we present College Football Today's Halftime Report. Tony Hernandez brings you all the scores and highlights of today's action, and boy, have there been some good ones. That's College Football Today's Halftime Report coming up at halftime, and we are 2 minutes and 48 ticks away.
And, you know, you look at this USC football team, 17-0. A good Washington defense, one of the better ones on the coast and in the country, but Marinovich can tear it up in a hurry if he gets hot.
Under pressure, it is intercepted.
Pressure in his face. Guess who? Chico Fraley. And he pops it up, never takes a look. He makes a very cardinal sin for a quarterback. No interception so far this year. And of course, it is snatched and taken in deep by the Huskies with 2:40 to go.
Tommy Smith, there he is, the California High School Player of the Year in 1988. From the eye. Play action. It is cut at the 16-yard line.
Nice grab by Matt Jones. He's got tremendous speed. Backup fullback, but they said they were going to play him more today. This is the first opportunity he's had. Had he not had to be turned around to catch that pass, USC taken by the play fake. Brunell at least got it there, and the Huskies a big 8 yards.
Second down and 2. That is Lewis. He's close to the first down. We are inside 2 minutes, clock running. The Huskies and the Trojans with all 3 of their timeouts remaining.
The Huskies come into this and pick up a touchdown, this would be a momentous lift going into that locker room at the halftime. And again, I cannot at any point say that this USC Trojan is incapable of racking up points in a hurry, as evidenced by their last-second victory over Washington State a year ago. They got speed receivers, excellent running. But right now, I don't care if you're Mandrake the Magician. The Huskies are doing what they have to do, and that's keeping pressure on Marinovich. You can be the best there is, but if you don't have time to throw that football, they've been in his face. He's a little bit unhappy with himself. The roar is the first down. He hasn't been treated quite this roughly in a long time, if ever. And you talk about that Husky defense. Well, those linebackers, one of the strengths of their team, their two best are out, and out of the group of 6 or 7, they don't have a player that is less than 4.7 in the 40 speed-wise, so they have excellent foot speed.
Double wide receivers to the near side. It is Gaspard and McKay on first down of the 13. Over the middle is caught. Touchdown, Mario Bailey.
I believe, or no, it was Hector, as a matter of no, it wasn't either. Sam, I'll stand corrected. Big play as they kicked that extra point, but a well-thrown ball.
1:32 to play in the first half, and this one is a shocker. The Huskies, they have been all over USC from the opening kick. Boy, what a first half for Don James's Washington Huskies.
You said it. Phil, that as far as a shocker is concerned, I'm sure that USC never anticipated anything like this, but they are 4-0 against the Huskies the last 4 times they played them. And Don James, you know, it sticks in his craw just a little bit, as competitive as he is. His defense, always a strength, are playing outstanding, but it's his offense and Mark Brunell, who's had a couple of tough ball games. Very young player, needs to have patience with him, but he has come out of the chute fast in the first half of this one.
Oh, I'll tell you, they are hooping and hollering here in Husky land. The dogs are barking.
It's not exactly the dog pond in Cleveland, but you can certainly be aware of the fact that that crowd has been a factor.
Here is Travis Hansen to kick it away. His brother Jason, the All-American kicker at Washington State. And this is Conway at the 4. And he jukes his way out across the 22. And the ball, I'm not sure if it was fumbled. I think they're going to down it at the 21 or 22. Yeah, they are. Or are they? Now hold everything.
They're adding some yards to it, looks like. Possibly unnecessary roughness against the Huskies.
Not sure whether the ball wasn't fumbled. And it was.
Boy, you sure didn't see it come kicking out of there, but, well, SC in the shotgun, they'll be going into their 2-minute offense.
Flags are flying everywhere. I mean, every yellow flag that the officials have, all 7 of them sailed. Now, this would have been Southern California's best field position to start a drive of the day.
Well, everybody's moving for USC in that offensive line. Just take your choice. The crowd bottom, as you see right there. Marinovich trying to shout. You see Tucker, Harlow, and, well, whatever jersey you'd like up the front, and that is not easy for them, quite frankly.
Dead ball. Ball start. Offense. Still first down.
Talking with Ray Dorr, they practiced the silent count for the Rose Bowl a year ago, as well as Notre Dame back there, Phil. They're having trouble with the normal loud count.
Southern California has been penalized 8 times. There's the fumble. Marinovich covers it for Southern Cal. Clock running inside a minute 10.
This has got to be in a 2-year period where Marinovich has been so successful through his freshman year. You know, just absolutely outstanding. Fast start this year. Here he's getting bothered from all points. And this is a perfect example of a missed exchange. And look at the graphics. Last year he went 16 for 17 and a half. And now this year he has 3 of 8 for 49 yards and his first 2 interceptions of the season. The Huskies, with a timeout here, they hold them. They could get an opportunity for a punt return. And a couple of these returns, quite frankly, have been very close to getting big yardage, if not going all the way, Phil.
Now the Washington Huskies, they have more proven players back from a year ago than virtually any other team in the Pac-10. Add to that a superb home schedule, and if they win this game today, they just might go all the way. Now next Saturday, the Pac-10 game of the week will come to you from Tucson, Arizona, as the Arizona Wildcats take on the California Bears. I'll tell you, quarterback Ronald Veal, he'll be trying to get things done. California's Brian Triggs, a year ago he led the conference in receiving. That's next Saturday, the 29th. The Wildcats and the Golden Bears live at 3:30 Pacific time. Our Pac-10 game of the week right here on Prime Network.
Well, we'll see some rushing of the football there. Arizona's led the conference 3 years in a row rushing. Probably the best group of backs depth-wise, and Ron Veal, who is as good an option quarterback as there is in the country.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Great quickness. It's the passing game that they're trying to get a little more productive.
Marinovich, 3 of 8. He has 3 wide receivers in the ball game in the spread formation, and now Marinovich is bothered by the crowd. And you can be certain offensive coordinator John Mascos told Todd, listen, if you can't hear, if you can't get the word out to the line, tell the official. And now Washington beginning, now the defensive team beginning to look to the stands and with palms down saying, hey, settle a little bit. We've got a 24-0 lead. Let's not upset anybody.
Well, you know, I can recall a couple of years ago, Washington went down College Station, Texas to play Texas A&M, and they got the towel bit going.
Oh,
everybody has a towel. They stand from the beginning of the kickoff to the end of the ball game screaming and yelling. And if you think it isn't distracting, the Huskies blocked one of their own punts when the up man backed up into the kicker. I have never seen that. I've seen virtually everything else in their end zone for 6 points for A&M as it happened.
Now the crowd comes to life again. 49 seconds to play, 2nd and 15. Marinovich. Can't hear.
Well, I'm not sure it was that bad, quite frankly.
Now, we talked earlier today at the start of our telecast about what this crowd and what effect it might have. Glenn Walker, you're down there. It is deafening up here.
Well, I'll tell you what, Phil, the crowd, you can't even hear yourself talk. I can hardly hear what I'm saying right now. You know, these 2 quarterbacks were the top 2 quarterbacks in California 2 years ago in high school football. And I tell you right now, Mark Brunell, who's not got the press as Marinovich has certainly shown his wares. He's doing a great job today.
Yeah, and the other one, Brett Johnson, who was a starter at UCLA as a freshman, went the other way. And according to Gary Pinkel, the offensive coordinator, and you look at the comparison of Brunell and Marinovich, but Pinkel said, you think he'll be intimidated by Marinovich's successes? And he said, no, Mark's attitude, he's a smart kid. He says, Mark will take care of Mark. And right now, he is doing it.
2nd down and 15 from the 32-yard line. Washington 24, the Trojans nothing. Marinovich with time. Now goes down. A flag is down. Travis Richardson with his 4th sack of the year, his first today. Marinovich, he has been pressured throughout this ball game. I'll tell you, this is a secondary sack. Credit the secondary. Guys like Dana Hall, Tommy Smith, Eric Briscoe, who has 1 interception today, and Charles Mincy. They had Scott Wellman, Wallace, and Irvins out of the backfield smothered. And that gave that man right there all the time in the world. And that stops the clock with 40 seconds to play. It'll be 3rd and 21, Southern California. Richardson, the senior out of Timberline High School in Olympia, Washington. Boy, for Todd Marinovich, he is not used to this treatment. And though this is a big game for both the Huskies,
Personal foul, offense, 3rd down.
though this is a big game for both the Huskies in Southern California, witness the fact that over the years, both of these schools have been in so many big games. Southern California not likely to get rattled here. Let's pause and let our local affiliates identify themselves. You're watching the Pac-10 Game of the Week on Prime Network. Clock running, 23 seconds to play in the first half. Marinovich content to take all the time he needs as he wants this first half to come to an end. Now the 25-second clock has expired. A flag is thrown. And now they're going to talk about whether or not they're going to give Todd the time to get the crowd to settle, or whether they're going to penalize the Trojans.
Delay game, offense.
Oh, my. Boy, is Larry Smith hot. Now, listen to this. 3rd and 39 for USC. The Trojans penalized 10 times for 78 yards. The Trojans' total offense today, 42 yards. Can you believe it? They are -7 in rushing. Marinovich has thrown for 49 yards total. That is a net total offense of the first half, 42 yards. Conversely, for the Huskies, 94 yards rushing, 132 passing. $72,500 here at Husky Stadium on the shores of Lake Washington. Temperature when we began, 87 degrees. On the floor of the stadium is an artificial surface. Temperature up right around 100 degrees. I'll tell you, we got here yesterday morning, and all day yesterday, no matter where you went here in the Emerald City, on the tip of everyone's tongue, Husky football. For Todd Marinovich, he can't quite frankly believe what has happened here through the first 29 minutes and 47 seconds. Now, last year's freshman of the year, Todd Marinovich, he was all world and really got the nod after Pat O'Hara went down during two-a-days in August. And boy, did he excel. And how about Don James, the Pac-10's winningest coach, 8-4 a year ago. Thus far here in 1990, 2017 win over San Jose State, and a 20-14 victory last weekend in West Lafayette, Indiana, over the Boilermakers of Purdue, and a come-from-behind effort. A touchdown pass from Brunel to McKay in the final 10 minutes. The situation here, 13 seconds to play in the first half, out of the I formation. The pitch goes to Irvins. He is hit and dropped at the 9. Travis Richardson again. And Washington stops the clock. They want the football back, as the Trojans are going to have to punt it away. There is a shell-shocked sophomore from Capistrano Beach High School in Balboa, California. Well, imagine the gasps across the country when this score goes up. Halftime score, Huskies 24, Southern California nothing. Southern Cal trying to make it to the Rose Bowl for a 4th consecutive time. Washington trying to get there for the first time since '82. And there is Ron Dale, the junior from Boulder City, Nevada. And I'll tell you one thing, you can be certain the Huskies are going to be roaring for this football. And the man leading the charge will be Tommy Smith. He is number 15. He had a punt. He blocked an SC punt last year at the Coliseum. This time he'll get it away. Smith in the neighborhood, but on the wrong street. It is taken at the 49-yard line. And Bino Bryant takes it at the midfield line, and that is where the clock will run out. Well, the clock expires here, and what a first half it has been. The Huskies of Washington all over Southern California, 24-0. And now let's take you to our halftime report.
Yes, you saw the halftime score up in Seattle between USC and the University of Washington. The Huskies stunning the Trojans at halftime, 24-0. Now going into this game, USC head coach Larry Smith had a record of 21-1-1 in Pac-10 play. We'll be right back.
Well, you talk about dramatic finishes. I go way back to 1974, Don. I remember a game, the Trojans against the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. It was a score almost at halftime identical, 24-7. But Southern California came back and absolutely derailed the Fighting Irish 55-24. So make no mistake about it, the Trojans are not out of this one.
No, they certainly aren't. They have the offensive weapons to do it with. Great speed on the outside. Marinovich can throw. He has not had the time yet. You may see him roll out more in the second half. And of course, there's always Ricky Irvins and a defense that hasn't showed itself yet, but is certainly capable.
You know, I mentioned throughout the first half that one thing that Larry Smith was concerned about throughout this 1990 season was the Trojans' inability to move the football on the ground. Through the first 30 minutes of play, I can't quite believe the statistics. The Trojans of Southern California, -7 yards rushing.
Well, you know, we said at the beginning of this football game that emotion was going to play a big factor. The Huskies have been playing with tremendous adrenaline, enthusiasm, and the defense is flying around, making things happen. You're right. I can never remember a USC team that has had trouble moving the football.
You know, we thought it would be Todd Marinovich lighting it up through the passing lanes, but early in this ballgame, Washington's second possession, Greg Lewis from a yard out staked the Huskies to a 7-0 lead. Then in following a Mike Dodd 21-yard field goal that made it 10-0. Darius Turner, the fullback, got the call.
Just up over the top. They wanted to go to Turner more. He got enough. You could see the football just get over the white stripe. That's all it takes.
And then following a Tommy Smith interception of a Todd Marinovich pass, his second interception of the day. Watch this. Brunell on a crossing pattern beautifully just past the outstretched arms of Mike Salmon into the hands of Mario Bailey. It was a 13-yarder. And that is where we stand here at halftime. The Washington Huskies 24, Southern California nothing. Interestingly enough, the Huskies have been to the Rose Bowl 10 times. In 9 of those 10 times, they've beaten SC to get there.
Well, you usually, I think, have to figure that the road to the Rose Bowl is going to go through the USC campus. Yes. I'll tell you, and right now, there's a lot of football left to be played, another 30 minutes. So this game is far from over despite the score.
Don, a lopsided score, 24-0. Likewise, the first half statistics, you will not believe, total yardage. It all belongs to the Huskies of Washington. Look at that. Fourth category down, 226 for Don James's Dogs, 42 for Larry Smith's Trojans.
Yes, and the time of possession is so significant. This is what they had to do, wanted to do, to keep the ball away from Marinovich. And as it's turned out, they've ended up with points, despite using the clock up equally as well.
You know, Greg Lewis, the outstanding tailback for Washington, he is number 1 in the conference in rushing, 7 in the nation overall, averaging 129 yards a game. Thus far in his career here at Washington, Lewis has 7 100-yard games, Don, and in all 7 of those games in which he has rushed for 100 or more, the Trojans, I should say the Huskies of Washington, have been victorious. So that is a big key element.
Well, it is. He's had over the last couple of weeks 100-yard games, and again, and Ricky Irvins last year had 9 100-yard games. So we'll see in the second half what shakes out for these two excellent ball carriers.
You know, Larry Smith's Trojans, I'll tell you one thing, they have been in so many big games over the years. I mean, they thrive on big games at Southern California. Likewise, the other football powerhouses around the nation. This is nothing new for Southern California. I look for Chris Allen, the defensive coordinator of Southern California, to change some things dramatically. I also look for Todd Marinovich and the offense to come alive, Don. You can't keep two units like the offense and defense of Southern California in a negative situation long.
No, you can't. But one thing that the Huskies must do, they cannot get conservative. They've got to stay and play the kind of first half through the second half. Throw the football as they see it. I would expect the Trojans to blitz more, trying to come after the Husky quarterback in this instance. By the other side of the coin, the Huskies can't let up on Marinovich. They've got to stay after him, whether they get him down or just get in his face.
We talked at the outset of our telecast about what a crucial game this is. The loser here actually goes 2 games down, because what it does, it forces the loser to win every game the remainder of the year, and you hope the winner here loses 2 conference games. Right now, let's go down to the sidelines where Glenn Walker is standing by. Glenn?
I'll tell you what, guys, this tunnel is very unusual for college football. Both teams have to walk in and out about 250 feet, and going into the locker rooms, the Washington players were saying, whose house? Dog house. The USC players weren't saying much, but right at the end, one guy said, hey guys, it ain't over with yet. So we'll see what happens at 24-0. I don't know. You got to kind of wonder. Back upstairs.
All right, Glenn, thank you very much. We are ready to begin the second half of play. They love their dogs here in Husky Land. And to boot it away, it is Travis Hansen. Back deep for the Trojans, Curtis Conway and Travis Hanna. It'll be Hanna at the 6. Out across the 27 and down near the 29, maybe to the 30. And the Trojans will have the ball at their own 28-yard line.
Huskies man down. He's up and moving now, though, very slowly coming off the field.
Marinovich, halftime, 3 of 8, 49 yards in 2 interceptions. Look at the field position. SC, average field position. They have begun their drives at their 23. Washington at their own 47.
The ball carrier that's coming off the field there for the Huskies is Mark Jones, a strong side linebacker. He backs up Donald Jones. Doesn't appear to be hurt. It was more getting the wind knocked out of him.
To the right goes Gary Wellman. Play action. Marinovich wants to roll right. The left-hander stops. He's pressured and he's down.
Big play.
Empman and Richardson were all over him, and Chico Fraley was in the neighborhood.
Well, I mentioned to you Donald Jones. He's the guy, number 48. Now, Marinovich after the play fake is outside clean. You can't see it, but there's nobody there. Good coverage. That's what slows him down. Now, here comes Donald Jones, 48. Former strong safety, now a linebacker as he's beefed up to 230. Excellent speed and quickness. He pounced on Marinovich.
Look at that statistic. Boy, what a telling tale. Marinovich looking right again. Over the middle it goes. It is caught out at the 23-yard line.
I'll tell you what's happening, among other things, certainly in this play, which was happening in the first half. We talk about Washington defense staying after him with intensity. They are bothering Marinovich. When they haven't gotten to him, they're getting a push in his face. He could not get the normal follow-through he would like to have. He has to kind of short arm it in that last instance. He did get the completion, but that bothers a quarterback. Those people are too much in front of him.
The sun beginning to set here in Seattle, and it is right straight into the eyes of Marinovich. Coming near side, it is caught. Travis Hanna has it. He spins around and is dropped at the 34 by Tommy Smith.
Not enough for the first down either. Good recovery there after the little hitch pattern. Marinovich, a control passer, can throw deep. A little surprising that they didn't go upfield enough to at least make the attempt to get the first down rather than going shorter and hoping to run for it.
On 4th and 4, here is Ron Dale. He has punted beautifully today. Almost 45 yards per punt. Good snap. And a good spiraling punt. Backing up is Bryant at the 19. He's got it, takes a stutter step out across the 24 and smothered there. So the clock will stop. The Trojans give up the football once more, and with 12:43 remaining in the first period. It is Washington over Southern California, 24-0. Unlike the traffic jams of Los Angeles, they have boat congestion here on Lake Washington.
And I see a lot of people that didn't come on into the game. A lot of the people do come to the game in those boats. They sit out there and watch their TV and take in the sun.
Well, I'll tell you, there's a guy who might just as soon be out on one of those boats right now, headed out of here. Boy, what an afternoon it has been for Larry Smith of Southern California. He is not used to this. But as I said at halftime, the Trojans have been in this spot many, many times, and they have rallied many, many times.
What a hit.
That's Greg Lewis. He is stacked up at the line of scrimmage.
Looked like Brian Tuulu that came across there to fill that on a little trap. Left guard Lincoln Kennedy was pulling across, but
you know, Tuliao is an interesting guy. Last year, number 56 in the white, had a couple of fumble recoveries. He got one last week against the Nittany Lions. He's out of Long Beach Poly. Yeah, he is a load to handle.
He really is. And he weighs 240, and he saw that trap, and he hit it. But he weighs 240, and he caught Lewis in that straight-up position.
Now the Huskies out of the I formation on 2nd and 10 with 12:01 to play in the third period. Coming near side, it is Lewis. Takes the inside step. He's out across the 40, and he is going to go. 66 yards before Calvin Holmes lassoed him.
And they did it again, the third time today. The screen out to Lewis. You see the guards come out and get a block. He breaks back to the left. We talked about him against the grain. Now he's going to the left corner. Really, he has the whole right side of the field. If he goes that way, he's got 6 points. I don't think he ever saw Calvin Holmes coming.
I agree with you.
He thinks he's on his way for 6. The receiver didn't want to clip Holmes, but if he goes to the right corner, there is no one around. Big play anyway.
Out of the eye once more. That is Darius Turner. He's got one touchdown today and was churning for another before Kirk Barber took him down at the 4. The attendance today, the 5th largest ever here at Husky Stadium. 72,617. I'll tell you, you could not get another person in here with a shoehorn, Don.
Yeah, and school hasn't even started yet. They don't have all the students in, so you got a tremendous amount of support. And a lot of people felt that not only here, but up and down the coast, that the Huskies were probably the best team to challenge USC for the championship this year, despite the fact that it's early in a long season ahead.
Well, you know, I mentioned at the tail end of the first half that they have more proven players back from a year ago than really any other team in the conference. And you add to that their superb home schedule. They have SC, they've got Oregon, Arizona, and the Bruins of UCLA all here at Husky Stadium. And I have to believe if they can stay healthy, this game right here, they're going to look back on and say, this game is what propelled them to Pasadena on New Year's.
Well, there's still, as we've said, a lot of football left. But should they win this football game, a lot of those hurts that you're talking about, possible injuries, they aren't quite as bad. They go away fast.
There's the draw. Didn't fool anybody. That was Bino Bryant, the 5'11" sophomore out of Los Angeles, is Dorsey High in giving Greg Lewis a rest. Brian Tuliao on the stop. Now that man right there is not used to seeing his defense pushed around.
No, he certainly is not. We talked about them, and you said he isn't used to being beaten. Well, it's been a long time. At 19-0-1, that's a bit before somebody's walked up on you.
Brunell sends everybody into the pattern. Going downfield, it is picked off, intercepted at the 4-yard line by Southern California's Howard McCowan.
Bad move by Brunell. Tried to fire it in there. They had people in front of it. You'll see the safety come across from right to left. I believe Howard McCowan, you just see him at the top of the corner there, see him break on the ball, did a nice job, but that's a ball that Brunell would like to have back, forcing the football, but it takes away a little of the momentum of the Husky offense. Brunell not the only one he's made today, as it happens. He said, how could I do that? But at least they got the Huskies where they're going to, I mean, the Trojans were going to have to make a long drive.
Irvin, big hole on the left side. And a great job by Tommy Smith moving up from his free safety spot to stuff it.
Was. And that was a big hole, as you said, coming off the left side. And watch this one, folks. Boom. Pow. Felt that a little bit.
You're looking at a Husky defensive unit, number 1 in all of America against the rush, averaging 21 yards. Marinovich, sprint left. Looking downfield, throws. Wellman's got a step, and it is out of bounds. A flag is down, and it'll go against, I believe, the Huskies of Washington.
I hope we have an opportunity to watch that on the replay. If he's calling that face guarding, he'll throw his hand up at the last moment. They're in a zone. I don't know whether he pushed him. A good job of cutting down Chico Fraley on the outside to give Marinovich room to throw the football. I think he has to be referring to face guarding when he threw both of those hands up there. You'll see 2 arms go up.
Pass interference, defense, automatic first down.
I did not see contact at that stage. Rule-wise, if you're looking back, then I don't think they would call it. But in this instance, you know, he was directly focused in. Might not have caught it anyway, but that's a big play to get USC out of the shadows of the goalpost.
First and 10 now at the 25-yard line. Marinovich and the Trojans trying to get something going here. The give is right up the middle to Scott Lockwood. He got a yard, maybe 2. Steve Empman really stuck him. Empman trying to fill some pretty big shoes, Don Heinrich. The departed Dennis Brown now with the world champion 49ers. And Empman has played exceptionally well this year.
Yes, he has. Just a sophomore at 285 pounds. He has really come to the front. They talk about Travis Richardson, who's been a 4-year starter. Seems like he's been here forever, but Empman's been a really pleasant surprise.
Only one setback behind Marinovich. It is Raul Spears. Play action. Marinovich looking right. Throws. It is caught at the 37-yard line by Larry Wallace, and he is hit immediately by Dana Hall.
And Dana Hall, the one player in that secondary, lost his starting job after he got beat at Purdue. I mentioned earlier a couple of times. You'll see him break on the ball. The Huskies in a blitz. At the end of this throw, you'll see Donald Jones. He just gets a piece of Marinovich, but Hall too far off. The ball juggled just a tad by Larry Wallace, but Hall was going to play it safe. He worked his way back to first string as this week progressed.
3rd down and 1. Double tight end formation for the Huskies as they, for the Trojans as they bring everyone in. That is Ricky Irvins, and he'll be across the 35. Close to a first down. No indication yet. Frank Griffin, the Trojans tight end, says they got it, and they did. Interesting, you know, Don, in recent years, the Trojans have relied on a passing game which has utilized only half of the playing field, the outside half, from hash marks to the sideline. And I'll tell you, with Gary Wellman this year, Larry is trying to utilize 100% of the field in the passing lanes. Irvin looked like he tripped over the 35-yard line itself, and down he went. Chico Fraley covered him.
Yeah, well, the East can accelerate so quickly, but Chico Fraley also has excellent speed there. See him scraping off number 39. He's really in pretty good position to make that play. They were kind of both stumbling. Fraley trying to adjust to the move that Irvins was put on, and as a result, they both just kind of stumbled on down to the ground, but not much yardage out of it.
Wellman wide right. Larry Wallace wide to the left. Marinovich laying it up for Wellman. He's open, and he can't get to the football. Now that's what you call the patented timing pattern.
Yeah, take a look right there at Todd Marinovich, and I'm going to tell you why. Because Donald Jones, coming from that strong side linebacker, dusted him. He let him know it, and he made him pay to go deep. And once again, it was Dana Hall slow getting to the ball. Watch this, folks. That's what it's like to be a quarterback. Yeah, it's kind of a push. He didn't get hit too badly, but I think he hurt his shoulder in the process.
I think you're absolutely right. He already has a very, very sore passing left wrist.
But he's taken more hits here this afternoon than I'm sure he's taken in a lot of games combined, certainly in the last 2 games. And he's a tough kid.
Wellman and Hanna split wide to the right. Wallace wide left on 3rd down and a bundle. It is Wellman in motion. Marinovich throws. It is incomplete. Johnny Morton.
Good coverage. Charles Muncie. Nice job on the corner.
And the Huskies have held once more. And listen to the crowd.
They are liking it. They could have picked up 3 more in that last drive downfield, and Brunell got one picked off as they were moving to the goal line. At least 3, if not 7, so they could have increased their lead. Now they're going to get fairly decent field position.
Dale almost has it blocked. The flag is down. It'll be roughing the punter as the Trojans cover it at the 29.
That is totally ridiculous. Absolutely uncalled for. When you got a lead, they had the block on, and that's fine. He did a good job of acting, quite frankly. The player that got called, I believe, is Damon Mack, a flanker. Number 6 from your right side. But watch the acting after this, and that's what punters are taught. He gets, well, guess who? Guess who? Dana Hall. Well, now, I think the defensive coordinator is going to have a little chat with him, even though that's a special teams function there.
You talked about the acting. This is Ron Dale, the junior out of Boulder City, Nevada.
Oh, I'm hurt. I'm hurt. That's a good call, though, quite frankly. There was no cause to hit him. He did not get blocked into him.
Defense, 5-yard penalty. Still 4th down.
So it'll still be 4th down, but now instead of it being 4th and 10, it'll be 4th and 5, and that does not change things. If you're Larry Smith, you still have to give up the football and hope that perhaps on the other end, Bino Bryant, number 29, standing at his own 20, muffs the punt.
Well, you're in pretty good shape at 24-0, despite the fact that you are behind. 7 minutes to go in the football game. If they could get him 3 and out, they'd get the ball back. You get in good shape. Good position.
Bryant at the 20 and a fair catch. So Brunell and company will begin from their own 20-yard line following Rondale's 39-yard punt. You're watching the Pac-10 Game of the Week. What an afternoon here up in what is oftentimes referred to as Fungus Corners. Oh, not today. Absolutely spectacular. 87 degrees in Seattle, Washington, back-to-back days. Same thing yesterday. And the Huskies are loving it. 24-0 over the Trojans of Southern California. And keep in mind, 9 of the 10 times the Huskies have advanced to the Rose Bowl, they have beaten the Trojans. The only exception to that back in 1959. We are set to go. The top 2 running backs in the Pac-10, not even close today. Urban's averaging less than a yard a carry. Lewis well up over 3. And that is Greg Lewis right there. He now has 66 yards on the afternoon. And keep in mind, in his career at Washington, he has 7 100-plus games. In all 7, the Huskies have won. Now, Don, if you're Southern California, you begin to look for that man right there, Scott Ross, to lead a charge to the quarterback or the tailback.
Well, I think he's going to go after him without question. I mean, his track record is one of a very physical style of play. In fact, Larry Smith says, as a 4-year starter, he's an assassin to ball carrier statistics.
Right, that's good.
Lewis is having a pretty good day.
From the eye, play action. Brunell rolling left. Now unloads in and out of the arms of number 17, Curtis Gaspard, the senior backup split end out of New Orleans. Good coverage by Mike Salmon.
Yeah, but that was a ball, realistically, it went into his hands. The problem was that Brunell threw the ball entirely too hard. He had a lot of velocity on that when he wasn't all that far away, so it made it a difficult catch. So really, Brunell should have taken a little bit off of it. He has the capability. I've watched him. I watched their final scrimmage. he's got all the throws as far as touch and strength of arm. In that instance, just a bad choice.
On 3rd and 9, there's the pitch on the option. Lewis tries to turn it inside, and a great job on the part of Craig Hartziker, forcing Lewis to the inside.
Well, part of it was the fact that Darius Turner, who was leading it as the fullback, Lewis was just sprinting for the corner. All he had to do was cut it back a notch or two, gear down, let Turner stay in front of him, and he could have broke behind him and picked up 6, 7, 8 yards. But he just ran out around him there, right into the tackler.
To punt it away, Channing Wiles. Only the 2nd time he has punted this afternoon. It is Scott Lockwood and Curtis Conway back deep for Southern California.
Block.
Almost, and the punter goes down. And that is a legitimate roughing the punter. No matter what happens here, it won't stand. The Huskies will retain possession of the football.
Now they drop one. I guess the official just kind of wanted to think about it, so it's tit for tat. Comes up the middle. You can't see that very clearly. Galvin Holmes, you'll see right in between the guard's center spot. Somebody should have got him. Now,
Personal foul.
the rule is if he gets the ball,
Defense. Automatic
now you can get a look at him up inside right there. If you get a piece of the ball, it doesn't count. But he didn't get a piece of the ball, so the Huskies get a break. And they had roughed the kicker the previous series by the Trojans. This time the Trojans rough the Huskies, and they can ill afford that as we're to 5 minutes and 9 seconds, 24-0. The Huskies here in the 3rd quarter.
Boy, penalties. Can you believe a Trojan team has seen the officials' flag 11 times today for 93 yards? Southern California's total offense is 66 yards today. Brunel going to put it up again. Underthrows the coverage. It is caught by the tight end, Aaron Pierce, and he is out across the 34. And let's take it down on the sideline. Glenn?
Okay, you know, of all the cheerleaders on this Washington squad, one girl really has the inside track. Jenny James, she happens to be the daughter of head coach Don James, and he talked this week about the crowd getting rowdy. What did he say to you?
He came home after the first game, and he very nicely told us that we needed to get the crowd really into the game, but they've done their job today and made it really easy for us.
I'm sure the difference between winning and losing, Dad's going to be in a real good mood tonight.
Oh yeah, it's going to be great. I can go home this week.
All right, back upstairs.
Does that mean Glenn is counting a pelt on the wall? I think there's a ways to go.
Coming to the near side, it is Lewis. And down he goes at the 17-yard line. Lewis bounced to the outside and found no containment whatsoever.
Well, the USC defense, watch them overplay it. See the whole side of the right going that way to your left. Lewis just bellies it back. No contain man out there. Now it's a foot race. He's had so many big plays this afternoon. In this heat, I think he's getting just a little bit weary, but another big play by Lewis, who is racking up some yards. 112 thus far, 300-yard games, 3 100-yard games so far this season.
From the eye. That is Darius Turner, and he is stacked up at the line of scrimmage. Nothing doing. Clock running, 3:43, 3:42 remaining in the 3rd quarter. Huskies, they scored 24 unanswered points in the first half, and that is where we stand.
You talked about those penalties. USC had 11 penalties total in 2 ball games coming in here. They've had 11 so far in this football game, and we aren't over the 3rd quarter.
2nd and 10, the ball at the 17-yard line. From the eye, Brunel barking the signals. Coming left side, great play action. Could take it for a few. He's inside the 15, the 10, and slides out of bounds at the 9-yard line.
Well, that'll be a turf burn, I'll tell you that. He'll accept it right now, but the way he slid forward, play action, fake, watch him accelerate right here. He makes the decision to run right there. And I tell you, it's a little deceiving because he is moving, trying to get out of bounds there. Did a good job of keeping.
Third down.
Not bad. Looks just like he's going into second base. Tumbling over just a little. Yeah, that hurt, I'll tell you, folks. And the next thing you have to concern yourself is that they get a lot of infections off this type of stuff.
Third down and 1. There's Lewis hit at the line of scrimmage, trying to dive on top of the heap. Kurt Barber on the stop. About a yard. Clock continues to run. And now they'll stop it and bring the chains out. You know, you talk about Greg Lewis. We have certainly called his number all day long. No Husky running back has ever put 2 1,000-yard seasons back-to-back, Don, and they've had some pretty outstanding running backs here.
Well, Joe Steele, of course, had some great years, and then Vince Weathersby, Steele the #1, Weathersby #2, a hard-nosed type of guy, and then there was Hugh McElhaney, the king, and they don't come any better than him. He had more shake and bake to him than most guys will ever see. And the Huskies are going on 4th down.
Turner, the up man. Here comes Brunell. He is going to go. At the 1-yard line, the Huskies will have the football. First and goal.
Well, the pass option on his part, Marcus Hopkins, the strong safety, came across to make the play, was covering the receiver. But the moment that Brunell saw he had a chance to get the first down and a possible touchdown, watch him put it away here. He's trying to cut back, does a little bit, and then makes the dive, comes up less than a yard short, but more importantly, 4 downs to knock it in. Big play on 4th down. Not like the Huskies' normal conservative approach.
The Huskies' offensive surge has been phenomenal today. There's Turner, and the surge is there again. Touchdown, Washington.
You're going to see a line surge, and actually what you don't see because of the end zone or the side angle, if we were from the end zone, Ed Cunningham, the center, and Dean Kirkland doubled up on the defensive tackle. They were in an even man front. Nobody was over Cunningham, which opened a huge hole down the center, and that's exactly where he took it.
Mike Dodd. And the point after is perfect. And the clock stops. 1 minute and 6 seconds to play in the 3rd quarter. A shocker from the Emerald City. 31-0 Huskies. The Pac-10 Game of the Week is brought to you by Isuzu. For features, styling, and price, there's no comparison. By Coors Light, the one that won't slow you down. The Silver Bullet is the right beer now. And by Chevy, it's Chevy's greatest hits of the 90s. See your Chevrolet and Geo dealer now and save. The Husky faithful are hoping it up here in Washington as Travis Hanna gets set to let it go. Boy, Hansen, a freshman. He is a guy that Don James is going to look to in years ahead. He lets it go. This one's short. It'll be taken by Conway at the 5-yard line, and he's coming to the near side. Great ankle grab by Eric Briscoe to bring Conway down. Washington scoring drive. They went 80 yards in 11 plays, and again, for the 3rd time today, they ate up the clock.
Yeah, and you know what is really surprising, Phil, that I don't care what year it is, whether the Trojans in this instance have 7 veterans back or starters, and we got a flag down now. Out of this whole ball club, it's the least number in 25 years. But the fact of the matter is, if you make one long drive of 80 yards in a ball game, you're extremely happy. The Huskies have had several against a very, very good defensive team in a crucial football game.
Can't tell you what a game this Husky defensive secondary has played. Hall, Smith, Briscoe, Charles Mincy.
There's a guy that's played pretty good himself.
Boy, look at those three games. That's a trio he'll put up against anybody in the nation. Opened the season with 156 yards and has been up over the century mark ever since.
Yeah, and that's just rushing. Now, if you took all-purpose yards or pass receptions that he adds to it, one long run on the screen that almost resulted in a touchdown, a couple other screens earlier, one they started the ball game with. Don James most unhappy.
Yeah, you talk about Lewis, you're absolutely right. He's got 98 more yards catching the football today.
So, you know, he's right at 200 yards, probably won't play anymore. And the Huskies right now, they're bringing in Billy Joe Hobart, who is their backup quarterback. And he is a punter for him, almost won the punting job from Puyallup down the road here. Highly sought of out of college. And he's going to kick off. So they're looking for big things from him along the way. He just, unfortunately, Brunel has got a year on him, and as a result, more experience at quarterback, but he's getting into kickoff anyway.
Now, from the 12-yard line, Conway will get another shot. Wow. What a great job by Butler.
You called it another shot. He took a shot.
Hillary Butler just about took his helmet off.
I mean, that's a big league hit right there.
Let's pause to let our local affiliates identify themselves. You're watching the Pac-10 Game of the Week on Prime Network. Are out today, and so are the animals. The dogs have been spectacular.
You know, you come down that tunnel and they get to barking big time against their opponents, trying to intimidate them a little bit before they ever get to the field.
First and 10, Marinovich, lasso, gets away and now throws, and it is incomplete. Chico Fraley had a shot and nailed Marinovich again.
Larry Smith is saying, what happened to our pass protection? Chico from the right side of your screen, and that's what can bother any quarterback. He doesn't even have a chance to set up Marinovich before Fraley just jumps in his face, and then it's followed up very quickly as he gets popped right there by Steve Empman and dumps the football off for incompletion.
Now from the shotgun, look at that spread formation by Southern California. Over the center it goes. It is caught by Lockwood, and he is nailed at the 32. Don, you've talked about the Husky defense. You know, the loss to Arizona State last year was almost a godsend, because following that loss, Don James said, restructure a defense that can win, and they have won ever since.
Well, you know, he changed the style of the defense, too. More of a blitzing, attacking type of an approach. And we got the Huskies coming across, but no snap of the football, little movement up front. I do believe by Mark Tucker, the preseason All-American.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. The senior out of Banning High School got caught moving on the line of scrimmage, so that will push the Trojans back again.
Trojans looks to be, they send in their
false start, offense, still third down.
Officials call. They send in most of their plays by receivers. They will signal some. Just came in with 2 receivers. The Huskies make a quick change, but the Trojans are liable to be going to their 2-minute drill through the whole 4th quarter. Hurry up and keep it moving.
And they may be going to Shane Foley, the backup senior quarterback out of Newport Beach. Marinovich throws. It is knocked down by Fraley. Oh, what a move! He came right over the top of Scott Lockwood and knocked the ball away. Lockwood has to think Fraley was dropped from the heaven.
Well, that is
out of nowhere.
That is 39 on the right. Absolutely perfect. Watch him reach in with the right hand. No contact, really, to amount to anything. Keeps the left arm back, and a little bit of maybe light contact, but not enough to amount to anything. You cannot cover a person any better than that. Chico Fraley having a big day.
It appears as if we will see Shane Foley coming into the ball game, and Larry Smith trying to explain to Marinovich why. What a punt.
Brings snow.
Ball is muffed and then covered at the 29-yard line by Bino Bryant, and the Huskies will have it. A 43-yard punt from Rondale. So Marinovich, it appears, will expel when the Trojans get the football back. And here comes Mark Brunell once more. Boy, what an afternoon he has had. Coming into this game, Brunell had hit on 35% of his passes. Today, he is 12 of 22 for 197 yards and 2 touchdowns.
And he's had, well, up until today, the 2 longest runs from scrimmage, a pair of 47-yarders in those 2 ball games. Until this afternoon when
Lewis in and out of the arms of Scott Ross before Don Gibson took him down.
When that man right there cranked up some big ones.
That's it. The final play of the 3rd quarter. 3 down and 1 up. We're coming back to Seattle for the final quarter of play. Huskies 31, Trojans nothing.
Well, they're seeing more than they want to get from him, and then Turner taking it in from a yard out. And the Huskies 136 yards to USC's 33, and who would have ever thunk it? Woo.
Lewis combined yardage today over 200, 112 rushing, over 90 receiving. He has been all world. He is number 1 in the conference, number 7 in the nation, and I think it's safe to say he is moving on up.
Well, he is, and he's getting an awful lot of help from that offensive line. You got to give them credit, and there you get a look at the USC Trojans and Todd Marinovich in particular as he puts his hand through his hair and saying, man, I've never been treated like this. They're roughing me up a little out there.
2nd down and 4 from the 34 as we begin the 4th period of play. Boy, look at Lewis. Had he bounced more to the outside, he probably would have gotten around Willie McGinnis, but it was not to be. You know, Don, I think if we were to talk to Larry Smith tomorrow about this game, while certainly there have been some breakdowns by USC defensively, I think the thing that Larry Smith would say is we faced one heck of a football team today.
I think he'd say that. I think he's saying that right now. What is going on here? I haven't been treated like this since I left Tulane, with a stop off at Arizona in between.
Washington 5 of 9 in 3rd down situations, coming to the near side, and oh boy, Trojans coming everywhere.
That's one screen. They played well.
That was intended for Lewis.
They had 3 people over there. They were right on top of it. Did a fine job of covering it. It was Matt G that was the first man to it. But then they got a little bit of support on it. They read it all the way. One of the things that Brunell did not do in that one, he gets back, sets up like he's going to go upfield, then retreats another 5 or 6 yards and draws them in. In this instance, he only went back to 5 or 6 and let the ball go. Got to be an actor on a screenplay.
Channing Wiles to punt it away. Southern California has 1 block this year. They blocked a Syracuse punt and nearly got a Penn State one last week. He's got it at the 17. Snowed under at the 29. Oh, what a game we have seen. It has been all Washington, and it began in the 1st period on a 1-yard touchdown run by Greg Lewis. And then later in the 1st period, Mike Dodd from 21 yards away made it 10-zip. And the 2nd period, Darius Turner, following an interception, staked Washington to a 17-0 bulge. And then before intermission, Mario Bailey from Brunell, 24-0. And then late in the 3rd period, it was Darius Turner again, his 2nd touchdown scamper of the afternoon. Shane Foley looks left, comes to the near side. It is caught at the 35-yard line. And down goes the tight end, Yanni Jackson. Shane Foley, the 6'2", 200-pound senior from Newport Beach, California. I tell you, he's the guy you call the blue-collar type of quarterback. He goes in there when the Trojans need to get a fire.
You know, what's he got to be thinking when he said, well, I know I'm not going to get to play unless we get way ahead. We're never going to be behind, at least significantly, where I'll get in. And in this instance, 31-0. I mean, this is incredible. You know what the Huskies have done? They have sustained the intensity of play in all areas. Punting, I mean, kicking, offense, defense. That is hard to do for 4 quarters. Of course, the 4th quarter isn't over, but they've stayed after it.
That's a good point. Offensively, Washington has played the game in Southern California's secondary.
Yes, they have.
There's Foley as he trips over his own interference, and Tyrone Rogers covers him.
And it can also be said that they have played in the Southern California offensive backfield in a lot of respects, as they've handled Ricky Irvin's what will probably end up his lowest yardage of the year. And there's a guy that's going to have a nice evening ahead of him and a major contributor. And on the other hand, oh, really, will he ever be? And Todd Marinovich, you know, they were in his face all day, just what they needed to do. And there's Todd. He said, boy, I don't remember Daddy telling me about days like this one.
Foley rolls left on the option. He'll take it himself across the 40. The midfield stripe, and down he goes to the Husky 40-yard line. Charles Mincy, the senior quarter out of Downing High School in Los Angeles, the last man between Foley and Touchdownsville.
Yeah, nice job running the option. Only the second time he fakes the pitch and then brings it up inside. The Huskies overrunning a little bit. Smith takes a shot at him there, and then finally some of the other players come across to make the play. Mincy being one for sure. But you know, you look at Marinovich, the poise Marinovich has, and that is the longest run of the day, but the poise that Marinovich has is just outstanding.
Foley drops the snap, picks it up very calmly, and then is covered by Tyrone Rogers once more.
Yeah, as they didn't get that exchange, but as I was saying, you know, you come to think of Marinovich as being a veteran player, almost like you would a senior, when in reality he's only had the freshman year and 2 ball games. But they've come to expect, either the public or the rest of the team or the coaches, so many big things from him. And today he's getting a lesson where every time he turns around, somebody's attacking him. And of course, defensively, the Huskies are handling the run.
Larry Wallace splits wide to the left. He is at the top of your screen. Wellman goes wide right. Down the center it goes. Lockwood is wide open. But again, credit the incredible pressure by Dave Hoffman and Chico Fraley for sending Shane Foley off his count.
Well, that's the gamble you take. If you're going to bring as many people as the Huskies did, which was 9 in that instance, and they attacked him up the middle, it's a situation where Foley's going to either try and hit the touchdown or miss it. He missed it.
I want to remind you, next Saturday, the Pac-10 game of the week will be coming to you from Tucson, where the Wildcats and the Golden Bears of California will lock it up. 3:30 Pacific Daylight Time. 31-0 Huskies. 11:44 to play in this ball game from the split back formation. Foley steps up, throws in and out of the hands of Ricky Irvins. A catchable ball, to be sure.
Briscoe making the play, coming across the strong safety, or rover back as they use him. He's almost like another linebacker in a lot of instances. Sideline not looking very happy for USC. They have not been treated unkindly like this in an awfully long time. In fact, I cannot remember when, quite frankly. They'll have to go back to the record book to get some numbers on this one. And they're looking at a potential shutout.
4th down and 10. The Trojans will go. Foley going downfield. The tight end has got it at the 4-yard line. It is Frank Griffin.
Well, Eric Briscoe and Tommy Smith, the 2 safeties, they were in a zone. They just did not react very well as the tight end down the middle. And here again, now the Huskies with a 3-man rush, so he does get plenty of time. And a good job throwing the football, reading the defense, but you can see the 2 safeties coming across there late to Griffin. Big catch.
Foley rolled under at the 6. The first man to hit him, Charles Mincy and Dave Hoffman. This by far Southern California's deepest penetration, and it's taken them 3+ quarters to get there.
Well, you know, that option was played pretty well, and you're absolutely right, Phil, that they have had great difficulty sustaining any kind of a drive today. Whether there's a let up by the Huskies or not, you know, defensive teams, boy, that is the highlight for them to get a shutout. But we might see some pretty tough, hard-nosed playing down here, second down and about 6-7 yards for the touchdown.
Wellman coming in motion near side. Foley looking Wellman's way. Wants to throw to him. The ball is hit at the line of scrimmage. In fact, I think it hit Derek Deese in the helmet.
Donald Jones came from the side. A flag is down from the outside linebacker on the strong side and caught his arm just a little bit as he was throwing the football. You'll see Donald Jones from the right, kind of a semi-roll. He's sort of faking out there, but he's got a delay to the tight end. You see that Jones grabs him and sort of spins him around.
Pass hit an ineligible lineman on the offense. Holding defense. The penalties offset each other. The penalties will offset each other and will replay the down.
I'd like to know where the holding came from defensively. Probably on a receiver, which I did not pick up, quite frankly. If it was to the delay man coming out of off the line of scrimmage after sort of like slow blocking, it counts 1, 2, 3 and then releases, then the linebacker in normal cases is going to grab him there, thinking that he's a blocker and use his hands to come off of it. That's the only person I saw it conceivably could be.
Southern California trying to avoid the shutout. The last time they got the offer back in 1985. Foley coming near side. He is hit, and it is intercepted at the 1-yard line.
And does this crowd love it? Eric Briscoe, second interception for the afternoon. So they deny the Trojans the end zone, but there's still 10:29 to go, and this is well played. Watch the cutoff out here to try and keep the quarterback inside. Makes him throw, but look at that move to break in front of ball, just a little bit behind him. But that was an excellent job by the defensive back to make the play. And the Huskies still flying around with this 31-0 lead.
And you can credit Mark Jones, the outside linebacker on that side, with pressing Foley and the release on that ball a split second before they wanted to.
Well,
boy, look at that statistic.
You know, we said that probably turnovers would be a big feature, possibly the kicking game. Well, there's an example of it right there.
Mark Brunell keeps it, tries to get it out from the shadow of his old end zone. The last time, Don, the Huskies shut out Southern California back in 1983, 24-0 Huskies. The same year, oddly enough. Now there is Shane Foley right there.
Well, you know, you talk turnovers, Phil. Since Don James has been here, his teams have created more turnovers than any other Pac-10 team. And I want to tell you, this is what he has always stressed, is defense and creating turnovers. They've done it with block kicks, you name it.
9:42 to play in the ball game, in motion. They'll give us to the second man through, and it is Darius Turner. He has 2 touchdowns today.
I'm a little surprised that Mark Brunell is still in there. If they could get, you know, out a little bit from the goalpost, I would suspect with 9:22 to go that they would come in with Billy Joe Hobart.
Third down, 7 yards.
I mean, Brunell is, you know, he's been knocked around a little bit, but why not get Hobart some playing time? And there, look at that. There is some numbers right there that Ted Tollner was the head coach, currently with, I believe, the San Diego Chargers.
That is Greg Lewis again. Well, I agree with your assessment, Don. I'm a bit surprised that Brunell and Greg Lewis are still in this ball game, particularly in light of the fact that next week the Huskies head for Boulder, Colorado to take on Bill McCartney's Buffaloes. And I'll tell you, it does not get any easier for the Trojans of Southern California, who next Saturday go into Columbus, Ohio.
And they got a guy that is very familiar with this Pac-10 football in John Cooper, that took the Arizona State football team to a Rose Bowl.
And Cooper remembers last year at the Coliseum.
Well, they lost big, 42-3, and he's saying, I hope we can get them down because I will return the favor.
Channing Wiles has been spectacular in only his 2 punts today, averaging 43.5 yards per pop.
And interestingly enough, Mike Lude, the athletic director here, that has been most responsible for so many things in Washington, down in the end zone.
Clock stops with 8:06 to play. You're watching the Pac-10 game of the week.
Yards to go.
8:06 to play. Washington 31, Southern California nothing. Along with Don Heinrich and Glenn Walker, I'm Phil Stone. A shocker from the Emerald City. And now a flag flies. And I'm not certain why. There's still 7 seconds left on the 25-second clock, and it's still ticking.
The umpire's talking to.
Strange time for a flag.
Yeah, really. I don't know what the interpretation of this is. I'm not sure the official does. Well, I know one thing. There's an awful lot of conversation going on between these two teams, as there always is. The Trojans generally have a lot to say, and they're generally in front, so they can afford to.
Now the official call is illegal equipment timeout.
So he forced him to put his jersey back in. I saw him stuffing it into his pants, and it looked to be Darius Turner in the up back position. I can't quite pick up his number from where he is standing, but the official was pointing at the player who in turn was trying to get his jersey back inside of his pants there.
Can you imagine if they had that rule in the NFL or the NBA? We'd never get the game started.
They certainly would.
Now we're set to go on 4th down and 6. Channing Wiles, only his 3rd punt of the afternoon. Good snap. He lets it go. And that's going to back Lockwood up at the 48. He'll come across the midfield stripe. Got a seam. On his feet to the 30-yard line, and down he goes. Now those shadows begin to fall over Husky Stadium right now. Let's take it down to Glenn Walker. Glenn?
Well, you know, they've got a great alumni band here at the University of Washington, very active. And, you know, these guys here can still do the push-ups for every point to the Husky score. Let it go, guys. 31. Let's see them. All right, I forgot to mention here, Lloyd Flem, class of 61, 51 years old. Bert Pound, class of 38, 74 years old, pushing out 31 push-ups. Very impressive. Back upstairs.
Jump down there with them, Glenn. Show us something.
Keep counting, Glenn. We're coming back down there. I want to make sure they do 31. This is Foley. Plenty of room. And he has spun down at the 21-yard line. Great coverage by Steve.
Look at Glenn. That's it. Look, he's right down there. He's getting with it.
I got him love.
Lead by example.
Reporter involvement at its best.
Lead by example. All right.
Huskies 31, Trojans nothing. Clock turning 7:28 to play in this game.
Nice job of running by Shane Foley, but he took a pretty good hit once he got to the ground.
Raul Spears, the lone setback. Foley looking downfield, underthrows the coverage. He's got a receiver, and down he goes at the 11. And it is Yanni Jackson, his 2nd reception of the afternoon. He is the backup tight end to Frank Griffin. Now let's look at other college football scores around the nation today. Michigan all over Kerry Donahue's Bruins 38-15. Stanford gets its first win of the season in its home opener. Washington State defeats, the Bears over Washington State by 10. Notre Dame trailed the Spartans all day long. Finally eked it out. Foley coming near side. The pitch goes. It is Mazio Royster. He didn't get much, if anything.
Well, a nice job as far as the defense, once again, of the Huskies playing the option. They got all the ingredients. They got a contained man, the quick force right there on the outside by Eric Briscoe. They got the force man, and they got the inside pursuit. And that's how you play with the option. So now the Trojans at about the 11.5-yard line looking at a 2nd down.
To the 6-yard line. It is caught. Frank Griffin, the tight end, has it, and he is smothered at the 8-yard line. Chico Fraley. Brigham Young demolishing San Diego State. Ty Detmer, you can bet, had a field day. Look at this lopsided deal. 56-0. Duke had nowhere to hide. Virginia's Cavaliers smother him.
They missed Steve Spurrier.
Oklahoma derails Tulsa. Mississippi over Arkansas. There's a close one. Illinois over the Salukis of Southern Illinois by a bundle. And Clemson under new head coach Ken Hatfield victorious. Likewise the Gators. Syracuse and Pittsburgh battle to a tie. Foley near side throws. Oh! A short touchdown to Brad Banta, the tight end, and Foley simply overthrew him.
Oh, would he like to have that one back? Little play action, good fake behind it. The back jumping over the top. Look at this right here, out of the eye. Nice job right there. Put the ball on the hip, roll out. Where's the receiver? Ah, there he is. Now, oh, a little too tall.
Now keep in mind, Washington next week hits the road against Colorado, and then they've got to go in and play a very, very tough Arizona State team.
Yeah, I know there's been a lot of conversation on this Rose Bowl situation, and I'm sure they'll have a leg up, but let's watch this one.
Foley pressure, and the ball is knocked down.
4th down, and guess who? Eric Briscoe. The safety blitz. It worked.
Don, that play right there, a microcosm of what has taken place all day long.
Indeed, they have not been able to deal with the Husky blitzing. But as I said earlier, this is one game, and Larry Smith says, I don't understand why we aren't picking these guys up. One thing is they have not rolled out a whole lot or not sprinted away to get out of trouble. And you look at it again from the right side, you'll see Briscoe, 28, catch his arm, but they're getting good pressure the other way. It doesn't matter. Forces it incomplete on 4th down, but the Huskies got a lot of ball games ahead of them. This is just the first big one.
There's Lewis out to the 12-yard line on the handoff from Billy Joe Hobart. And for the life of me, I can't understand why Lewis is still in the ball game. There is Hobart.
I don't quite understand that either. He is a fine young quarterback. They have 2 excellent young ones. Very talented as we catch a little sideline enthusiasm, and we're talking, folks, this has been a huge game, as you see Brunell there among other things, for the Huskies.
Lewis again. That is Bino Bryant, who has come into the ball game. 5'11", 175-pound sophomore.
Speed guy. Excellent, excellent speed. But I'm really just amazed at this Trojan team not really playing like any I've ever seen in the past.
Bryant once more, this time out to the 25. You want to talk balanced offense, and that is what offensive coordinator Gary Pinkel told us yesterday, Don. He felt the Huskies had to have a balanced attack against Southern California. It doesn't get much more balanced than this.
There you have it. 384 yards, almost equal pass to run. And several of those passes, incidentally, a lot of that yardage was on 3 big screen passes. So the control passing game really worked for him, negated the rush of the Trojans.
2 wide outs for the Huskies. The toss goes to Bryant as he tries to turn the corner on the right side and is smothered out there at the 29 by David Webb, the outside containment linebacker, the sophomore from Irvine. What a day it has been for Larry Smith. He'll go back and begin to assess the damages. What happened? How do we fix it? And we don't have a breather next week, troops, as we head for Columbus and Buckeye Land.
And you don't know how sore a shoulder that Todd Marinovich has. You may not know until later on in the week. The Huskies, a fine job of disguising the coverages a good share of the time.
Bryant pounding it up the middle again.
You know, when Marinovich did have time to throw the football, Washington, because of his poise and ability to read defenses far beyond his age, they did a lot of things, worked in a lot of areas of showing him one thing and doing something else, which forced him to buy a little more time back there that he was not getting because of the heavy rush up front.
On the near side is Damon Mack, number 6. First down, hook. 3-1 Washington. Bryant. Correction, Matt Jones levels an official.
Yeah, and Jones might have gone the distance, really, because he has terrific speed, and the official, he just stood there paralyzed. Watch him cut back all the way. See him veer it back to the outside. There's nobody to the goal line. There is an angle on him at that point by Howard McCowan, and the official says, oh, man, that's a pretty good hit. That's got to hurt, no pads, and then he gets a little kind of a follow-up shot there.
That'll be one of the greatest hits of the 90s as far as he's concerned.
Yeah, Matt G, he thinks, man, the stadium fell on him.
Bryant, right side. Great lateral pursuit by Hartzyker and Matt Gee. David Webb also in on the tackle. No gain. Clock continues to run. We're down at 2:09 and moving.
Well, you aren't going to see that kind of a look on that Trojan defense very often, or Larry Smith. This is a situation that they do not experience too often, and rather humbling, but you can rest assured send them back to the drawing board and get the intensity going for next week.
Bino Bryant for the left side. Not much. Matt Gee once again. But most importantly, the Huskies just want that clock to tick down. We are at 1:30 and counting.
Washington now a total of 406 combined yards passing and rushing. USC 163. 407 to 163. Unbelievable.
Now the Washington Huskies began the 1990 Pac-10 season as the winningest team in the conference in the decade of the 80s.
Don James wins his 150th. And Washington, I believe, held USC to just 28 rushing yards.
Unbelievable.
I mean, we're talking tailback U, aren't we? Stadium left and right.
And now the crowd begins to come to his feet as there's a timeout on the field. The clock stops with 47 seconds to play. It has been awesome for the Huskies. The Pac-10 Game of the Week is brought to you by Isuzu. For features, styling, and price, there's no comparison. And by Great Western's family of companies, $40 billion strong. When you hand out the game balls here today, one will certainly go to number 39, the junior out of Roland Heights, California, Chico Fraley. What a day.
Oh, super day on his part, and I can remember seeing him play as a freshman. They held high hopes for him as being, you know, a truly great player, and today he demonstrated that, and that is in place of James Clifford, their sterling linebacker that now looks like he might be out for the season. So they've lost 2 quality linebackers, but saw a little bit of quality come in and replace one of them.
To kick it away, Channing Wiles. And a flag goes down as it is taken at the 20-yard line by Scott Lockwood. And there is the look of frustration, and that really is the look of the day if you're a Trojan fan.
Billy Joe Hobart did the kicking. Holmes comes across, and there wasn't a whole lot of doubt about that one. I think that was a total frustration by those 2 young men that come in there to get some help from Conway as well, and kind of pound him. So it's an automatic first, and USC Trojan team is coming off the field. Tommy Trojan not very happy.
13 penalties, 113 yards against Southern California. We're coming back to wrap it up for you in a moment. Don James breathing a little easier than he was yesterday. This time you can see as he's trying to mask that smile.
Yeah, you don't see him smile a whole lot. He's all business.
Career win number 150 today for that man.
That spans 20 years as a head coach. 4 at Kent State, 16 here as he starts the dean of the Pac-10.
Walked into his office yesterday and I said, Don, I would have been here earlier, but the traffic was worse here than it was in Stowe, Ohio, a little tiny hamlet in northeastern Ohio outside Kent.
He understood.
That's Bino Bryant. And that may just do it as the clock continues to run.
Well, you know, this has got to be a marvelous feeling for Don James, having lost 4 straight. And they have all been played well when he's played USC, but coming up short. The games have been closer than the scores, and yet the scores have been reasonably close. And this one, I mean, we're talking a blowout.
And we'll listen as this crowd begins to roar once again. Final score from Husky Stadium in Seattle. Washington 31, Southern California nothing. We're coming back in just a moment to wrap it up for you from a very, very happy Husky land. As the sun begins to set over Seattle, the Washington Huskies 31, the Trojans of Southern California nothing. SC coming in a 5.5-point favorite. It was not to be today. Now next Saturday we will come to you from Arizona, where the Arizona Wildcats and the Golden Bears of California will lock up. Outstanding Golden Bear wide receiver Brian Treggs will try and add to his 7 catches per game average, and quarterback Ronald Veal and that host of running backs he has behind him will be going all over the place in Tucson, and we'll be there at 3:30 Pacific Daylight Time to bring it all to you. What a day it has been for Chico Fraley. And Glenn Walker's got him. Glenn?
Well, here he is, number 39, the player of the game. Chico, you shut out USC, one of the top quarterbacks in the country. What did you see in the films that you were able to do?
Well, we just saw, it was basically all emotion. Our defense came out, we studied film every day for 2-3 hours a day. Our defensive line just penetrated on them. They had a really good team, but we felt that we could attack and control them a little bit more, and not let Marinovich check to some of his key plays.
He seemed to be very confused by the noise from the crowd. How much did that help?
That helped a lot. Our fans are great. This is one of the best ones I've ever been in. The crowd was excellent. I just want to go and stay with the rest of the team right now and thank everybody.
Hey, go inside and celebrate. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Okay, Chico Fraley, the player of the game. Big win for the Washington Huskies. Back upstairs.
Maybe none bigger, Glenn, in the last several years. Final score 31-0 over Southern California. I think it is safe to say, Don, that for the University of Washington, their centennial celebration has gotten underway in grand fashion.
Well, it certainly has, and I'll tell you the other thing is we said at the beginning of this football game, a bit of a mismatch from the quarterback standpoint, but that you couldn't measure emotion, and Chico Fraley said it.
Now you talk about Todd Marinovich. I have never seen him have a game like that in the 1+ year he has been at Southern California. While for Mark Brunell, who had not played well, what an afternoon it was. The final score, Huskies 31, Trojans nothing. Stay tuned now for all of the college football highlights. The Pac-10 Game of the Week has been brought to you by Isuzu. For feature, styling, and price, there's no comparison. By Great Western's family of companies, $40 billion strong. By your Toyota dealers and their quality line of cars and trucks. Toyota, I love what you do for me. By Coors, enjoy the original taste of Coors, the Rocky Mountain legend. By Chevy, it's Chevy's greatest hits of the 90s. See your Chevrolet and Geo dealers now and save. By the World of Hilton, $1 billion better. For reservations worldwide, call 1-800-HILTON. By Lexus Automobiles, the result of a relentless pursuit of perfection. And by Bank of America, leading the way to easier banking.
This has been a special presentation of MSG Network.
Fifth-ranked Southern Cal opened up quests for its fourth straight Pac-10 title with a conference opener at Washington. Now, these two teams traditionally are involved in nail-biters, but today, this one wasn't even close as USC got pounded at the dog pound. Minus rushing yardage in the first half of the Trojans, Washington defense bottled up the Todd Marinovich attack all day long in his face. Here, the lefty gets pressured and has to go down and taste some turf. Marinovich also picked off twice on the day, which is a rarity for Larry Smith's club. The Huskies built a 17-0 lead in the second and add to it when fellow lefty quarterback Mark Brunell hitting Mario Bailey with a quick strike, 13 yards. Huskies up 24-zip at the half. And they continued to put the pressure on. Greg Lewis in the second half, big game, went over 100 yards. Here, finding some daylight, squirting free, and getting into the secondary. Will they catch him? Yes, but that would set up another score. And Todd Marinovich, worst game of his career as the Trojans are blanked in Seattle, 31-0. The unbeaten Huskies snap a 4-game losing streak to USC. The Trojans have dropped their first Pac-10 game in 3 years. Marinovich, worst game of his career, only 7 completions, 2 INTs. USC picked up a paltry 163 total yards on the day.